Good morning, DJ and PK. It's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Welcome in on a Monday morning. History at Augusta. How about Rory McIlroy? History for him. The Jazz season is history. That thing's over. Happy to see that in the rearview mirror. And it's getting pretty interesting here going down to the wire for the Utah Mammoth, who've clinched a playoff berth but are still just 3 points in front of the Kings. With the season winding down here, the Mammoth have 2 games left. The Kings have 3 left. And at stake is who's the first wild card, who's the second, who has to play Colorado with the best regular season record, and who gets to play Vegas or Edmonton or whoever wins the Pacific Division. So that's all at stake. Let's start this morning with the history. Rory McIlroy. All those years he couldn't win the Masters. All those years he fell apart and had the heartbreak and lost. And now he's won back-to-back. And Bob didn't pick him. PK didn't pick him. I didn't pick him because none of us really thought he was going to win back-to-back. It's not like he'd been playing great. Now, it turns out he had been playing at Augusta a lot, even though we hadn't seen him on tour, and that probably helped. And I think the fact that he'd already won there, obviously, when he made mistakes, and he made them, he had a double bogey early and dropped 2 shots behind, and then I think briefly 3, and then got hot. And, making the turn, he was clearly in the hunt. And he got 2 big birdies back-to-back, 12 and 13. And, briefly had a 3-shot lead. I mean, it was just crazy. The day was all over the place, and he made mistakes. He didn't scramble as much as Rose, but he was scrambling, coming out of the trees and low punch shots. And I think, 15 was in the trees, 18. He was definitely in the trees at 18. In the trees, in the sand. But ultimately, he got the win by 1 shot. And I think that Scheffler, great rally to finish second, but it never really felt like he was going to do it. It felt like it was going to take something really crazy. And Scheffler had a pretty long putt at 17 that just barely missed. And that would have put some pressure on Rory. But really, and Scottie Scheffler said it when he was interviewed, it was Friday. The scoring conditions were good Friday, and a bunch of guys scored. Rory shot a 65 on Friday, and he shot a 74. And that's where he just gave away too many shots on Friday. So it's crazy. It's a crazy game. It's a crazy sport. It was entertaining, that's for sure. And now Rory has back-to-back at Augusta. So now you've got your, that old question about who's the Mount Rushmore? Well, it's obviously Jack and Tiger, and then Nick Faldo and Rory, the other 2 guys have won back-to-back. So that makes it pretty easy, doesn't it, right there? And also with the 6 majors, which, now you're getting into such rarefied air. He's tied with Trevino. He's tied with Mickelson. Arnold Palmer is sitting in front of him with 7. There's some awesome names all around Rory. I mean, he is, and he's still in his 30s. He's got at least 5 and maybe 10 years. Injuries are crazy and can change everything, but he is really set up. He is really set up to put his name up with the greats, if that's what motivates him. And it will to a point. It'll be interesting to see what really you get to a point where, do you want to work that hard, or have you just done it all? And you can chase the numbers, and that's fun. But, I don't know Hogan, does he want to, what's the name? Where does he want to set it? It's interesting. I don't know. We'll see what he does. We'll see what he says. We'll see. He's going to get asked this now. I mean, he's too far up the list. He's halfway to a double major. That would be something. Or not a double major, a double career slam, with 6 of them now. So he needs 2 more. He's got to win the right 2. But who knows? Who knows where he's going? And I think we're all ready to see Scheffler. It'd be great to see Scheffler and Rory go at it. Scheffler was just so far back, it never felt to me like he could really do it. There was a chance he could do it, but it never felt like he was really going to do it. Now if they're, because I think at one point he was 5 back on the back nine. I mean, Scheffler was closing fast there for a while. On Sunday, I mean, he was 5 back. I mean, he was way back. I think when Rory was, it might have been 12-8, maybe it was 13-8. The leaderboard changed pretty fast, but he was really chasing. So it'd be something to see them separated by 1 stroke with 9 holes to go, or tied. Then it would really be on. All right, DJ and PK, we're going to take a break right now. When we come back, the Jazz and the Mammoth. The Jazz wrap up the season. The Mammoth have 2 games left. We will get to them next. Stay with us. Good morning, DJ and PK. It's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Your Utah Jazz are done. The 4th year of the tank is complete. Now, I think the tank is over because I think they're chasing 50 wins next year. I think it's more likely they get there than they don't. But we got to see what happens in the offseason. I mean, there's still obviously a piece to add in the draft. And then there's, probably a couple veterans to add through free agency or trade in the summer. And who knows, maybe there's a draft day trade. The Jazz could get unlucky with the draft pick, and they could end up drafting 6th or 7th, and maybe they move it. Who knows what's going to happen, right? The dream is they get the number 1 pick and they get A.J. DeBonsa, and we'll see. We'll see if that happens. Sacramento and Utah both won on Friday and then both lost on Sunday, so they're tied for the 4th and 5th worst record in the NBA. So we'll see how all of this plays out. May 10 is the next date. That's the draft lottery. That's when we find out where the Jazz are going to draft. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. What's it going to be? Where are they going to be? We will get to that on May 10, so circle that on your calendar. Right now, let's get to the best of the postgame show.
George Jazz recap here on DJ and PK 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jake Scott with you. The Jazz wrap up the 2025-2026 campaign with a loss to the Lakers, 131-107. This was the Oscar Tshiebwe game, career-high 29 points and 17 rebounds for Oscar in the loss. As the Jazz had a tough time putting the ball in the hoop, specifically in the first half. LeBron James had 18 points for the Lakers. Rui and DeAndre Ayton both had 22. But let's get to the post-game sound. Here's Jazz head coach Will Hardy and his final post-game media op.
That our guys have represented themselves and our organization all year. It's an incredible group of human beings. I feel lucky to have gotten to coach this group every night. You guys get to see them on the court. You get to see them some at practice and shoot-arounds. But the fiber of the team is all the things that happen, behind the scenes. And it's a special group of guys. Every year has its good parts, its bad parts, but the human experience is the piece that we all cherish. It's why you're a part of team sports. It's why you guys cover team sports. It's why the fans watch. It's always bittersweet at the end, but this is an amazing group of young men.
When you look at some of the young guys who took big leaps this year, like Cody, Bryce, Flip, Isaiah, what are you hoping they take away from this season? Because they saw a lot of opportunity. So what do you want them to carry into the summer?
Yeah, I think more than anything, they need to decompress so they can separate what's real and what's not. All of them have positive things to draw on, and that obviously can add fuel to your fire. And then there's the parts that didn't go as well, and you have to be willing to address those so you can face them head on. We have on the board, on the wall in our film room, a quote from James Baldwin that says, "Not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it is faced." And that's part of these guys' process, is they have to really look in the mirror, and we have to help them with what to focus on. But there's so many good things for all these guys to draw on going into the summer, and hopefully they'll use that as fuel.
As much as you love basketball, there's no game tomorrow. Is there a feeling of relief, sadness, glad it's over, wish you could keep going? How do you feel about that?
Yeah, the end of the season always sucks. This is such a big part of all of our lives. It's those of us that are lucky enough to have families or kids, there's that part of your life, and this is, every team, we're a pretty weird, dysfunctional family also, and you get used to seeing the same people every day. The season keeps you in a rhythm. The schedule sort of saves you at times. So the end of the season is never fun. I don't know if it's relief or sadness or a combination of 8 different emotions. That's probably more accurate because you kind of go through all of them in different moments. But more than anything, like, I know that in the background of my brain or in the background of, my nervous system, it's a lot of excitement about what's next and the opportunity to continue to build with this group. And, we always talk about players in the off season and how they need to improve, and this person can work on this and this person can work on that. But as a staff, we have to seek to be better as well, and we have to evaluate ourselves. And most importantly, I need to evaluate myself on the areas that I can really improve so that I can help our group better. But I probably won't do that tomorrow. Probably take a few days and let it all wash away, and hopefully can come back to the table with a little bit more of a level viewpoint. The end of the season is.
That's Jazz head coach Will Hardy, and the season is a wrap. The Jazz finished the season as 22-60, at 22-60, capped off with a loss to the Lakers, 131-107.
All right, there's the best of the Jazz postgame show. Their 82 games are done. Austin Ainge is going to meet with the media informally, no microphones, no cameras, at 7:30. Then 8 o'clock, we're supposed to carry, with microphones apparently, we're supposed to carry live Will Hardy's season-ending chat with the media, so stay tuned for that. Now for the Utah Mammoth, the season ends Thursday. They've got 2 games to play. The Kings are 3 points behind them. The Kings have 3 games to play, all on the road, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. They have a road back-to-back, Seattle and Vancouver, and then they wrap up in Calgary Thursday. Now, if they were only to get 2 points in those games, then the Mammoth don't have to do anything. But if they get 6, they could move from 87 to 93. That would put the pressure on the Mammoth to win both of their last 2 games. So we'll see how that works out. We'll get a clue tonight. The Mammoth are off tonight. They're back at it tomorrow. Seattle is playing tonight. The LA Kings are playing tonight in Seattle. All right, for more, let's get to the best of postgame show. Opportunity slips through their fingers as the Mammoth get beat 4-1. Let's get to the best of the postgame show.
DJ and PK, the 5-game winning streak that the Utah Mammoth entered the weekend with is now a 2-game losing streak as they fell 4-1 to the Calgary Flames on Sunday night at the Scotiabank Saddledome. Utah's got that playoff spot solidified, still looking to wrap up that first wildcard spot. They'll have a chance to do it this week at home. They host Winnipeg on Tuesday at 7 and the St. Louis Blues on Thursday at 5:30. We'll have all the action for you right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. For Utah, Sunday, things were just a little off from the outset. Matt Coronado's 18th of the year made it 1-0, 7:06 into the first. 1 minute and 21 seconds later, the Flames made it a 2-0 score. For Utah, between the pipes, Vitek Vanacek got the start in goal for the Mammoth. Karel Vejmelka did not dress in the contest, with the Mammoth having 3 regular season games left. The matter for which he did not dress was not disclosed, but Matt Villalta was called up from the AHL's Tucson Roadrunners to handle that. And Vitek Vanacek, one of many nights this year where he just didn't get a lot of goal support, but he did make a pretty good save or 2.
For Frost, left circle. Not much puck movement here. Into the middle, Coronado. This goes just beyond the post. Coronado was lurking on the back door, couldn't get a stick on it. Frost up high, wrist shot, pad save. Oh, and a glove save by Vitek Vanacek. Maybe his best save of the season on his backside. side, reaching out with the glove to keep us at 2-0 with 25 seconds left of the first period.
What a stop from the seat of his pants. Coleman was all alone.
It was a contest where the Mammoth were looking to get back on track after a 4-1 loss at home to Carolina on Saturday in a game where they played pretty well in periods 2 and 3, just dug themselves an early hole like they did again on Sunday night in Calgary. Head coach Andre Tourigny not happy at all with this one, watching him on the bench throughout the contest. Called the team over during the final media timeout in the first period, gave him an earful. It was a one-way conversation, and throughout the contest you could just tell that Bear was not especially happy. We'll hear from him coming up. Calgary with 2 goals in 3:09 in the third after it was a 2-0 game for almost 40 minutes. Mammoth had a chance, outshot the Flames 25-9 in periods 2 and 3. Just could not get really a whole lot of pressure on the net, bodies in front, traffic in front, pucks to the net for second chances just was not there. Just an off night for the Mammoth on Sunday evening. And as we said, Calgary 2 goals in 3 minutes and 9 seconds takes it from 2-0 to 4-0. Lawson Krause got Utah on the board with his 23rd. He's now 2 points shy of his career high. Again, already locking up 20-plus goals 4 times in the last 5 seasons. He made it 4-1 in the third.
Utah needs 4 here. Up ahead is Keller, splitting the D. Back for Lawson Krause. A wrist shot, scores! Lawson Krause flings one in, and the Mammoth are on the board with 8:40 to go in the third period. Krause with a drive from the right circle, and Dustin Wolf's second shutout bid of the year against Utah is over.
Oh, a gorgeous quick up pass from the former Flame, Mackenzie Weegar.
Clayton Keller extends his scoring streak to 8. He's now got 17 points in that stretch on 4 goals and 13 assists. Mackenzie Weegar picking up an assist as well in his return to Calgary. Back to Clayton Keller, Utah captain, tying franchise record with that 8-game scoring streak. We told you, Mackenzie Weegar returning to Calgary, where he waived a no-trade clause right before the trade deadline in March to come to Utah. He was in year 3 of an 8-year contract, an influential member of the Calgary community. In fact, played a big part in getting their new arena built, which will open the year after next. So he returned to Calgary for the game, his first time back on the prairies of Alberta since the Mammoth got him in a trade. We heard from him after the game.
Yeah, just it's hard to come in this building and play here. I know it firsthand, and both teams had a tough schedule coming into this one, and whoever was the more prepared team in that first period was had a really good chance to win this game, and we didn't come out connected and prepared and ready to compete. So they play a stingy game over there. They we're going to play with a lot of pride tonight. So we got to learn from it, flush it. We got 2 really important games coming up.
What were some of the messages that were being said, whether that be from the coaches to the players or between you guys as a whole during that game?
Yeah, I mean, we got it pretty good after the first period by our coach, obviously. It wasn't a very good period at all. I think everybody knew that, but there's a lot of leadership in that group, in our dressing room, I should say. And, it was a tough game. There's no doubt about that. But this time of year, it's about being together and coming together as a group here and enjoying the grind. I don't think, tonight we wanted to enjoy that grind. And these next 2 games, it's playoff hockey, and it's the most important 2 games of all season, and we got to be willing to grind it out because in playoffs, playing like that's not going to work.
And as far as obviously going into the next couple, what is the takeaway to finish strong with these last 2 games?
Yeah, compete everywhere, all over the ice. You grind it out. It's getting pucks deep, grinding the D, reloading hard. The D boxing out in front of our, playing the hard game, that hard physical grind game. There was a lot of times tonight where Wolfie saw a lot of pucks. We got to get in front of his eyes. We got to, better gaps. It's just those fundamentals. It's the details this time of year that get you, on a roll, especially in playoffs.
What was going through your head during the tribute?
It was special. Obviously, a lot of emotions going through that. Some laughs. The boys kind of chirped me a little bit. I could see them peeking their heads over behind the red line, and just a lot of great memories, I think. I got some goosebumps over there. It was a great cheer. The fans always, my appreciation for them and their appreciation for me never goes unnoticed, so it was a special moment.
You've been here for a lot of those videos, so you must have noticed that cheer, that roar from the crowd was louder than most.
Yeah, it's that's the market here. It's they love their hockey, they love their players, and if you just buy into the system and you work super hard every night and you wear that jersey with a lot of pride, they'll show it back to you here. So that's all I wanted to do when I was here, just wear that jersey, with pride and give it all I got here, and I'm glad they noticed it, and it goes both ways.
What would you describe as your feelings coming into the game? Were you nervous, excited?
I was excited. I think maybe a few nerves here and there, but nothing crazy. I think I was more excited, just to see the guys in warm up, and obviously their antics. It didn't surprise me at all, but it was more excitement. I was excited to play this game and to see the tribute and to see the guys, and it was exactly what I expected. It was great.
Did you want to beat Wolf on that shot you had from the slot on the power play?
Yeah, I'll sleep on that one for sure. I feel like I'm thinking about it right now. I could have got him in a couple different areas, but he played great tonight. I'll give him credit. He played well, and it would have been a really great night if we got the 2 points nonetheless. So as much of a disappointment as it was, we got to move on to the next, and I'll go say hi to the guys. But it was tough to lose that game. I really wanted to win that one.
Big picture, how excited are you to be back in action this weekend when the playoffs get going?
I can't wait. It's going to be an absolute blast. Obviously, got a little taste of the crowd here the last month, and I think they're ready to rock. We're going to be ready to rock. So, ultimately, I made the decision to come over here for that reason, is to get a chance and an opportunity to get in the playoffs and make some noise. So I can't wait.
And we told you head coach Andre Tourigny not a happy camper throughout, and he wasn't after the contest either.
We're not happy about our mindset. I think Calgary played really good at home, is one of the best top 10 team at home in the league, and they play really good defensively. And I didn't like the way we approached that game, in a sense of we had to be ready to grind, to get inside, and to work extremely hard for every inch. And didn't like our approach. I thought we were perimeter and east-west play, and at this time of the year, it's a good opportunity for us to learn. That doesn't work if you play against a team who's committed. So moving forward, that is something we'll focus on.
There were a lot of conversations being had on the bench over the course of the game. What was the general message of all of it, I guess, from you?
I think what I will say about that is it went with our mindset. I don't think our emotion, our focus was at the right place, and it showed everywhere from everybody. I'm not blaming anybody. Coaches, everybody, we need to be better.
What do you want the takeaway to be for the next two?
We need to grind. I like the way Calgary played today. They came to work and they played really good, and that's the kind of adversity we want, and we need to have the right answer next time.
So the Mammoth have a magic number of 3 to clinch that first wild card spot. Again, hosting Winnipeg Tuesday, St. Louis Thursday, and again, take note of that 5:30 p.m. Fan Appreciation Night start for national TV for ESPN on Thursday night. LA, the team they're trying to fend off, at Seattle tonight, at Vancouver tomorrow, at Calgary on Thursday. So the Kings, a pretty favorable schedule there on the road. They've won 4 straight games. So the Mammoth going to look to win their way into that first wild card spot. We'll have it all covered for you on Mammoth Daily, wherever you get your podcasts. On today's episode, we have your Monday Morning Power Play, top 5 stories of the week. We'll hear from Mike Folta, get his final thoughts on Calgary, and a look ahead to the week. And we will recap Salute the Sheriff Night, what some fans did at the Delta Center on Saturday for number 67, Lawson Krause, who is affectionately nicknamed the Sheriff. Mammoth Daily, wherever you get your podcasts, on Apple, Spotify, Utah Mammoth YouTube page, Mammoth Plus, and SEG Plus, with you every day, Monday through Friday. DJ and PK, Mammoth with 1 week left in the regular season. Next week at this time, the playoffs will be underway, and we could be going until late Thursday night before we get that Playoff schedule, opponent yet to be determined, but the playoffs will be coming here to the Delta Center in just over a week. Playoff tickets selling out within 24 hours after going on sale on Friday morning. Playoff merch is on sale at the team store inside the Delta Center, which is open daily at 11 a.m. For more on the Mammoth, check out UtahMammoth.com, and I'll talk to you coming up Wednesday morning and hopefully recap a first wildcard position clinching victory against the Winnipeg Jets.
All right, there is the best of the postgame show as the Utah Mammoth lose. We are going to take a break. When we come back, David Locke talking Jazz. Stay with us. Good morning, DJ and PK. It's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. David Locke joined us late in the show on Friday. A look into the Jazz future. Here's David with PK and I. David, good morning.
Good morning, David. Good morning, Patrick. Two of the greats of all time. Once again, a complete honor. Spend time with you on a Friday. It completes my week. It completes me as a human. It makes me feel better about myself that I'm willing to sacrifice for two crazy fools. It's all good.
I agree.
I want to hit you with a question of the morning in honor of the regular season wrapping up here.
Yeah.
Do the Jazz really have the best fans in the NBA? Now, PK would like a subjective discussion full of, debate and back and forth. You know me, I always like the objective stuff, right? What's attendance like? What are your social media numbers? What are your TV ratings? There's also the vibe walking around town, and I don't know how many people get to walk around more NBA towns than you. It's part of the job. You can measure it any way you want. What do you think?
So, I mean, I think I kind of can hear you saying, like, well, everyone says they have the best fans, right?
Yeah.
So I've always said that I thought the best fans in the NBA were when the Warriors were in Oakland, because those teams weren't good and that place was packed every time. There was nothing about it. And so I always thought those were the best fans. That's changed because that atmosphere and the access to that building is so dramatically different than it once was. I think our fans have been incredible this year. The Thunder fans are, they're really good. That's super easy, right? Like there's very few fan bases that were ever as engaged as we were during the NBA Finals in the 90s. So I think if you kind of look at where the franchise is at the time, we're on top. We seem to be as passionate as anyone, which is easy. But I think the other thing is that, like, we have shown a pretty incredible ability to stay engaged with a really long, difficult process. And that, to me, deserves great accolades. I mean, my Locked On Jazz podcast numbers are still really good and rank in the top 10 of listeners on our network. So I think that has to do, that's a real sign of where our fans are and how committed they are. I don't know how to judge who's the best fans. I also think we have to be careful a little bit with this, and this is where I think Jazz fans are particularly good, and it is a part of our culture in a way differently than a lot of other cities or on par with other cities, is actually the amount of fans that ever get into an arena to watch a team is pretty small, right? So, if you actually go to, most Jazz fans who really care about the team, a lot of them just don't ever get inside an arena. They either live too far away, their lives don't allow it, they can't afford it, whatever it might be. And so I sometimes think we have to be really careful about who we're talking about in regards to this fan. And that's why a little bit I know I referenced it, and it almost sounds self-promotion, but the podcast numbers to me are interesting. That's free. And, your listen numbers would be interesting to me. And mine's only on the Jazz. So it's free. It's available. You can go get it. And if you're a fan and you're going to listen to a daily 30-minute podcast, you've got to be a really big fan. And unlike your show where someone's tuning in because you guys are just two of the greatest personalities in the whole world, they have to listen to me. So that's way different. They have to really like the team. So I just think that in that sense, I do think that we're a part of the culture and that our community is more engaged in the sport and the team than probably most other communities. And the franchise has now been around long enough that it's been passed generation to generation. So, sorry, super long answer. Wasn't ready for it. Kind of had to think it through. If I were to answer the question, I think it has to do with, are you a part of the culture? predominant team in the culture, right? So, in Pittsburgh, the Steelers are always going to be better fans than the Pirates because it's part of their culture even more so. I don't know why I use that reference, but I was trying to find non-NBA city. Then I think you really have to talk about the fans that aren't in the arena every night. And then I do think you have to talk about the atmosphere in the arena. We're A-plussing all of those across the board.
Did you find those numbers spiked at the time of the Jaren Jackson trade?
Yeah, they went nuts. Yeah. I mean, there was definitely, my audience doubled. Yeah, and I think that's, I had some of the more interesting messages I've had recently is fans have, actually said when they're talking about all the tanking stuff, they're like, I actually find this more entertaining than if we were playing to be 36 and 46 so we could have an 8% chance. I thought that was an interesting perspective. It's so clear what's going on. They actually, I can almost get into it. I just get it. It's so obvious, which is a weird concept to, where the league's trying to take this. And I think that fans understand what we're doing, where we are, and the Jaren Jackson trade gave us light at the end of the tunnel.
Right.
I did a little bit. I did an ask. My Friday show is questions from listeners, and what is this year a success? And I was kind of doing the answer, and it's a raging success. But really, the key to the whole thing is that at one point along the way, we suddenly had an exit door, right? It'd be one thing if Keontae had his breakout year, and Lowry proved that he was a top 30 player again, and Ace seems to be all that. We would have called, and we still had our draft pick. Those four things were the four goals when the season started. All four of them have happened. But if we only had those four right now, the first question you would ask me is how long are we doing this? That question would still be the number one question being asked. And the fact that that question disappeared in February or January, whenever it was, when we were in Atlanta.
February,
that changed everything.
Right.
The fact that that question went away changed everything. But if we had those four successes, the goals coming into the season were, number one, keep the pick. Number two, can Lowry reemerge as a top 30 player? If not, you have to make a big decision on Lowry. 3, can any of the young players pop? Keontae popped. And then coupled with Lowry, now you knew you could move forward. And then 4 is Ace Bailey, all that. And I think by the end of the season, it's pretty clear Ace Bailey's all that. So those are all great. But, boy, without Jaren, you're asking me, how many wins we're going to get next year, and I'm at, well, we'll see what they do in the off season, and I don't know, yeah, right? Crap, it's gonna be 30.
That's the answer to the question.
Yeah.
PK asked me what the odds were that the Jazz could win 50 games. Taking 50 wins as a number of that's a pretty good season in the NBA. They're going to be 9 of the 30 teams are going to win 50 games this year. That's 30%, and it's usually somewhere between a quarter and a third of the league, and this year falls right in that range. Anticipating a good draft pick, and we don't know what's going to happen there, and anticipating that they're going to, one way or another, add 1 or 2 veteran ball-handling, shooting guards around the perimeter, I think there's a 70% chance they get to 50. He demanded I put a number on it, and that was the number that came to me. When you hear that number, go Goldilocks. Too high, too low, just right. What do you think?
So, few points of clarification. The rookie will not help us win games. They never do. Other than Con Knipple this year. They do not help you win games. Rookies do not help you win games. So, let's just make sure that will be somebody who will eat minutes, and that'll be important, but they won't be good minutes. I don't care if it's AJ or who it is. That's just the reality.
But they could lose you games, right? If it's someone who's good enough to demands playing time. So you got to factor that in.
Yes. So that's my against 50. That was my number one against 50. We're going to have to play this kid, and he's not going to help us win games. Number 2. So here, now let me switch. Why we're going to win 50. I think it'll be very difficult to get to the rim against us, which is kind of becoming a key thing in the NBA defensively. I think we'll be able to rebound amazingly, and that's actually one of the most key things in the NBA is the shot profile of all teams have equaled out. I think we'll be able to shoot well enough, but we're not a good shooting team. We'll have to get better shooting, and I think we have a lot of talent, and we'll always have people who can score on the floor. So I think that's a 50-win team. Here's the one thing that why I'm concerned we're not going to be able to do that. I watched that Denver-San Antonio game, and I don't know if you guys got a chance to watch that game. I think it was on Amazon Prime or Peacock. I think it was on Amazon Prime. That was incredible. maybe the best regular season game of the year, or at least one of the top 5 or 10. Our guys have not played in a game like that in 4 years.
Yeah.
Keontae George has never played in a game like that in his life. And Lowry's never played in a game in his life in a game like that when he's been in this role. He's done it as a fringe player for Cleveland, kind of. He didn't do it ever in Chicago. Our guys have never played in that game. And we're going to lose 3 or 4 games next year because they've never played in that game. And that'll take you from 52 to 48.
Then your percentage is lower than 70?
Yep.
Okay. Understood.
But I think, I get it. I look at the roster, and just on that, I'm guessing that every single one of my, numeric projections when I do it in the offseason will pump this team up to 52, 55. But I just think there's some reality of that you still have a young player who's going to hurt you in how they play. Like, if Ace Bailey had played 30 minutes on a good team, he would have lost a lot of games this year. Not a lot, but, 3 or 4.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to lose 3 or 4 games next year because of the fact that we still do a lot of – this has been probably emotionally trying, and particularly for the coaching staff and everyone involved, but this has been the easiest basketball you could ever play. How great is this? You go out, you hoop, and no one cares. Truly, no one really cares if you win or lose. And, you miss a shot on the wing, you thought you got fouled, you come across, you swipe the hell out of the guy going back the other way because you're pissed, and it cost your team 2 points. No one's yelling at you for that right now. It's stupid, but no one's yelling at you about it right now. You do that in the 94-94 game against the Houston Rockets with 7 minutes left in the fourth quarter, you just lost your team the game.
Yeah, I got you. I wanted to hit you
So
up.
we're going to
Let me hit.
We'll have to lose a few games before we realize that.
Let me hit you up on this starting to leak out on possible solutions to the lottery and all that, the incentivizing losing. I would like to see a potential overhaul of everything because if you look at it, sure, there's incentivizing for losing, but there's also, I could argue, incentivizing, if that's such a word, decentivizing, I guess, for winning because they don't want you to win too much. Because like Oklahoma City, well, they're going to have to get rid of their guys. And we're hearing it. DJ talks about it. The Jazz can't pay everybody. Well, why the crap not? Why don't we incentivize winning? Why do we have to have 1 apron, 2 apron, repeater tax, this and that? That de-incentivizes winning too. Shouldn't we be looking at all of it rather than one thing?
Interesting. Well, the reason for the aprons is because the Ballmer of the world, they just were concerned, and Joe Lacob in San Francisco were just going to outspend everyone. And then you have the Dodgers. And I don't think they wanted that. I don't know if that's actually bad for the league. From the league's heyday was when you had Lakers, Celtics, and Bulls, Jazz, and
right.
You knew what the finals were going to be. That actually was really good for the league. Not bad. But this is actually a little bit side note. I'm super frustrated with Adam Silver because he just blows in the wind and acquiesces to all the blowhard media talk show host people like us. He literally does. I've never heard anyone listen to us more. What he should have gotten up on that press conference and said is, we've had 7 different champions in 7 years. Detroit 2 years ago won 25 games. They're now number 1 in the East. Houston went through a rebuilding process. They're now number 4 in the West. Oklahoma City went through it 3 years ago, and they've won a title. San Antonio went through it. They're winning, in 60 games, and they are one of the best. We are the only sport in the world right now where you can really turn your favors in a span of 24 months. It's the only one. Major League Baseball, the A's aren't turning this thing around anytime soon. The Giants are stuck behind the Dodgers. We're going to stuck forever. We got no chance. Football, maybe if you get really lucky and get that Caleb Williams quarterback, maybe Chicago's going to turn this around. We'll see. But it's pretty hard. And if you don't get one of those quarterbacks, you're just kind of forever like the New Orleans Saints, going to just trade out everyone in the world until you get Drew Brees. And then, so I think the narrative was dictated by a bunch of blowhard talk show hosts and media writers. And yes, we have a tanking problem, but Adam Silver's complete lack of a backbone and changing the narrative of what's positive about this league is a huge part of this problem right now, in my opinion. And he's done this 3 years in a row where he just blows in the wind to everyone's complaints. TV ratings, this and that, 65-game rule. What a stupid freaking rule. And it's having no impact other than it's going to destroy a bunch of franchises because someone's going to win third-team NBA who's about the 40th best player in the NBA, and they're going to end up getting a max contract out of it. It's so bad. Unintended consequences, if you didn't think about, are just absurd.
I thought the answer, my friend, was blowing in the wind.
Thank you. Thank you, Bob.
I think this is a mistake, the road they're going down, because by flattening the odds even more, they're going to give more teams an incentive. We think the Jazz are out of the tank, but if they change the rules so that it's 18 teams with a shot, somebody, I don't know who it'll be, but somebody is going to be straddling 5th and 6th in the West and think, well, we actually match up with 3 a little better than 4, and it gives us a shot at the lottery too. Let's do it. So I'd be really careful about that. I think a lot of this tanking is happening because they made it so hard to rebuild through free agency and trades.
Yes.
How do they loosen the rule on trades? Because with trades, you can get better really quickly, and people don't really want to go through 4 years of missing out on the playoffs. So could they make the draft less important by making trades easier to make?
Yes, thank you. Yes, you're so freaking smart, David James. The issue is really simple. There's only 3 ways to build your team. Free agency, which is virtually dead, trades, and draft. And trades are too hard to make when it's the only other option. So you have to go through the draft. And then you get a bunch of draft picks and you trade them. You do what Utah did. You do what Oklahoma City did with Alex Caruso and Isaiah Hartenstein once they got their main pieces around it. You do what Houston did for Kevin Durant. You do what Washington's done for Anthony Davis and Trae Young. You compile enough pieces and enough cap space, and then you trade for these players. That's the new model of how you rebuild. That's literally the answer. Because if you actually go back and look at all these teams, and this is important for us, if you look at Oklahoma City's last tanking team 3 years ago, they only had 4 players left on that roster. If you look at Detroit's team 2 years ago, they only have 4 players left on that roster. If you look at Houston's team from 3 years ago, they only have 4 players left on that roster. If you look at Cleveland and Minnesota, who made the big trades for Donovan and Rudy, they only have 3 players left on those rosters. That's how you do this. You make those trades, you make those moves, and then you start rebuilding your roster around it. That's the model. So, yes, you are correct, David. That would be better. Here's the other one on this new tank. Maybe it would make tomorrow better or tonight better. Tonight's absurd, right? There's 20 players on the injured list. But on the other end, if you're out of it, why wouldn't you really be playing your player on the 81st game of the year? It's kind of risky. It's not worth it. So that's going to be an issue forever. The second thing is maybe the 81st game, maybe some of this March, April basketball, which has been pretty grotesque, will get better. But if I'm a franchise and I don't have a chance to win it and I'm building and we're in the new lottery odds they're talking about, and my best player or second best player sprains an ankle on December 17th and is going to be out or gets a hamstring like Luka. And we're not really competing for a championship. Luka's probably a bad example, but whatever. Whatever team, guy sprains an ankle, he's out 4 weeks. I sit everyone for those 4 weeks, and I go 0-14 on purpose just to make sure I don't get the playoffs and I have my 8% chance. The slides in the middle of the season to intentionally not make the playoffs by teams that don't have a chance to win the championship because the lottery odds are even is going to be obscene. And then the second part of that is that, ironically enough, by flattening these odds and making it hard, you're actually extending people's rebuild.
All right, there's David Locke. Let's take a break. When we come back, what is trending? The headlines are next.
This is what's trending with DJ and PK. Hashtag Utah Jazz.
It's over. 82 games in the books. The Jazz get loss number 60. They get beat by the Lakers 131-107. PK, doesn't that look much better in the rearview mirror than it looks in the front windshield?
No, because I don't get an opportunity to watch, is it Kennedy Chandler or Chandler Kennedy? I was just getting used to him and Mez Diang. I don't know, the cousin of Lual Deng, not Lual Sindor, and now this new kid, this white kid from UC San Diego or San Diego State or University of San Diego? No, man, I was just getting used to these guys. Oscar Tshiebwe, I just finally learned how to pronounce his first name, let alone his last name.
Yeah,
I mean, triple
Big O went for
doubles
29
galore.
points the Big O went for 29 points and 17 boards.
Right.
Oscar, we hardly knew ye.
No, I was told these guys are improving, man. They're great human beings, and now it's over.
Well, it's gonna be some new faces in town next year, guys. You're gonna have to move along.
I'm not sad that it's over. I'm sad that it happened.
Remake that poster before you hang it on your dorm room wall.
You hold on to that all weekend.
No, I just thought of it right now.
Well, it happened. 20-62. Sacramento also lost, so they're tied for the 4th and 5th worst records. I think they used to split the odds, but now they're going to have some kind of drawing, coin flip, mini lottery before the lottery, the pre-lottery, whatever they're going to do. So we'll see what happens with the Jazz with that. May 10th, circle it. Can't wait for the old lottery ping pong balls to drop on the 10th.
I'll be here.
DJ and PK.
Hashtag NBA.
So we're set with playing games. The regular season is over. In the West, it'll be Portland and Phoenix tomorrow. The winner is in as the 7th seed. Then Golden State and the Clippers on Wednesday, and the winner of that game will play the loser of Portland and Phoenix for the 8th spot. Miami, Charlotte, Orlando, Philadelphia, the matchups over in the East. And Doc Rivers can go back and do TV again because the Bucks don't want him anymore as their head coach. Apparently, he still could remain in the staff in some capacity because he's got a year left on his deal. But he's all done. Milwaukee went 97 and 103 in his 2+ almost, but not quite 3 seasons on the job. And Giannis won't really say if he's played his last game for the franchise. Is this like a 4-year soap opera now, PK? I guess it depends on when you think it was realistic they might trade him. It's at least 3. They're going to move him.
Okay. Well, I hope it works out for him.
Doug Christie, after 1 year in Sacramento, will get to start next season, per reports. So the Kings slow down the old Ferris wheel there, just throwing coaches out left and right. Doug Christie's back for next year, or at least the start of it until they change their mind again. DJ and PK.
Hashtag college basketball.
BYU gets commitment from Kentucky guard Colin Chandler. Or is it Chandler Colin, PK? Which is it?
It is the greatest thing to happen to BYU in a long time. That's what it is, buddy.
He was at Farmington High. He went to Kentucky for 2 years. He shot 41% from 3 last year. The coach wanted to add shooting. Well, look at that. There's some shooting. Started 31 of the 36 games as a sophomore. Presumably, he'll be starting as a junior for BYU next year.
I think you would. They've got to field 5 guys.
Right. And they're down to just 5 roster players right now. BYU center Abdullah Ahmed entered the NCAA transfer portal. So check one more name off the roster.
Yeah, I would think that's about it.
DJ and PK.
Hashtag NFL.
Troy Aikman, analyst for Monday Night Football, remaining in his advisory role with the Dolphins for the upcoming draft. He was brought on to consult the team as they hired a new general manager and a new head coach, with the thought that he would step aside, but he is staying on in an undefined advisory role. Man, if you're a quarterback in the NFL, an ex-quarterback, you're really set, aren't you? Especially if you had some level of success.
Well, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say especially. I would say if.
If, yeah. Former Miami Hurricanes defensive end Reuben Bain Jr., who's expected to be taken in the first round of the NFL draft, was in an auto accident in 2024 in which a passenger later died because of injuries sustained in the crash. He was cited for careless driving for that accident. There were charges against him, and they have now all been dropped. So there's your latest on your NFL prospects before the draft. DJ and PK.
Hashtag college football.
Colorado coach Deion Sanders says, I'm good. When asked about his health status, as the Buffs held their spring game over the weekend. Everybody inside these doors can tell you it's different when I'm here. I'm going to take my breaks like every other coach, but I love to be here. Obviously, he wasn't there last year. He had major health problems. But this year is different. And PK, the thought better be that this spring and this summer lead to a different kind of fall because he needs a big year. He needs a much better year.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to have it.
Wisconsin AD Chris McIntosh is leaving school to become the Big Ten's Deputy Commissioner for Strategy. He had been with the Badgers as AD since 2021 after Barry Alvarez's retirement and worked closely with Big Ten Commissioner Tony Petitti and the league's senior staff in navigating the new college landscape. So, Wisconsin will start over in the AD's office. DJ and PK.
Hashtag Major League Baseball.
Major League Baseball, we got a few teams that are red hot. We got a few teams that are ice cold right now, PK. Now, some of that can just be the series. The Padres won 5 in a row, but they swept the Rockies, who'd gotten off to a nice start, but now the Rockies with 4 straight losses have dropped to 6-10. Does that feel real to you, or is that a little bit of fool's gold?
What's the difference? I mean, they all count the same, don't they?
Oh, I want the Padres to be good, and I'm biased. That's what it is.
I think they are
they
good.
Couldn't hit a lick until the Rockies.
They got a nice lineup. They got the best closer in baseball. Throws the hardest ever. I mean, yeah.
How about the Athletics? 5 straight wins, 2 over the Yankees, 3 over the Mets. They are over 500. They are 8-7 in the AL West. 15 games in. That's good enough for tied for the top spot, as it is in the AL East.
Well, I think that was what they were expected to be better. And then 8-7. I think they have a shot to be around 500. And then we'll see. I mean, Vegas could be the team of the future.
Get them at exactly the right time after a long rebuild. Wait a minute, that sounds like the Mammoth in Arizona. Let them do the ugly heavy lifting. And then, just as they start to get good, move them here. Everybody in the AL off to a middling to poor start right now. Nobody over more than a couple games over 500 right now as they slog through the start.
You got the standings up again?
Untracked. Phil Garner died at the age of 76 over the weekend, PK. There's a name from our childhood. He was a star player and later a major league manager. Played 16 years in the bigs. I think he had his most success with the Pirates and Astros, but he was with other clubs as well.
Yeah.
Good name in the game right there. Phil was 76. Bees beat the Reno Aces 5-2 in the series finale. Home series against Sugarland up. They're off today and then back at it tomorrow. DJ and PK.
Hashtag golf.
Rory McIlroy, 4th golfer to win back-to-back green jackets. He beats out Scotty Scheffler by 1 shot and a big group of golfers. 2 off the pace. He bogeyed 18. There are a couple of wild stretches there down in the final few holes, but he negotiates it all. Back-to-back champ, joining Jack Nicklaus, Nick Faldo, and Tiger Woods. What a great group. He has etched his name in history with 6 majors, PK, and the career slam, and now he just keeps adding to the resume. That was entertaining down the stretch. Oh, it was entertaining all week.
Yeah, the thing that I like about it is the 4th player is like Jack was, the prime of Jack was, I was a little too young, but I know all these guys. It's not like like baseball, like Walter Johnson has like 500 and some wins. I mean, that's unrelatable. Yeah. These guys that I've seen them, they're not unrelatable. And to do it, and it's such a grind, the ups and downs, a 6-shot lead, halfway in, gets down, then he goes away, then he gets down as a double early, and then once he got retied for the lead, it's like his mojo was rising, and it was okay. He looks like he's back, even though it wasn't a big lead. He's still the favorite, and he got it up to 3 there. Scheffler battling. I wanted Scheffler and Rory. We got a little bit. It wasn't like it was the back 9, all 9 holes, but we got a taste of it. Scheffler thought he played well, just had a couple of putts that didn't drop. That's golf. Other guys had opportunities, and there you go, man. You play 72 holes, and simply one stroke decides it. It's amazing.
If Scheffler had gotten that putt at 17 ago, maybe could have put enough pressure on him to get him. But Scheffler, accurately, I thought, in multiple interviews, said Friday, lots of guys scored really well on Friday, and he did not. He shot a 74 while other people were in the breaking 70. In the case of McIlroy shooting a 65.
Oh, yeah, I said that.
To give away.
That oftentimes the tournament, the second 2 rounds, round 2 and 3, can go a long way to deciding what's going to happen on Sunday. I mean, I'm so happy for Erica and Poppy. I mean, Remy and Bennett, Remy doesn't even realize it, right? He's just eating and crapping right now and sleeping, right? But in time, he'll learn to deal with this setback. And Poppy, she didn't have to worry about getting a sugar poppy because she's going to have enough money the rest of her life. Like, what to do that sugar poppy? Sugar daddy, sugar poppy?
Not bad. I
wasn't talking to you. I was talking to Yock.
Oh, with that, I'm sorry. More with PK and Yock now.
#NHL.
Well, the Mammoth clinched, and then it starts going sideways, PK, except when it went backwards. They got beat again. Calgary got them 4-1. Carolina got them Saturday 4-1. So their lead over the Kings is 3 points now in the race. They clinched the playoff berth, but in the race to be the first wild card and get a potentially winnable first-round series instead of playing the overall top seed in the playoffs, Colorado. So 3 up with 2 to go, and the Kings have 3 left. The Kings will play 3 times in 4 days, and we'll see how many of those 6 points they can pick up. If the Mammoth win, it doesn't really matter what the Kings do, but if the Mammoth lose, they need the Kings to drop some points too. Colorado Avalanche coach Jared Bednar suffered facial fractures and a corneal abrasion after taking a puck to the face Saturday and lost to the Vegas Golden Knights. He's expected to make a full recovery without surgery. He'll be out until the playoffs start. So they'll go with the assistants running the show until then. All right, DJ and PK, there is what is trending. There are the headlines brought to you by Shamrock Plumbing. There's no job too big or too small. Get the personal touch with Shamrock Plumbing. With the Utah Jazz season over, the Jazz are holding season-ending press conferences today. Will Hardy scheduled to meet with the media at 8 o'clock today, and we will be carrying that live. And Steve Cleveland, former BYU basketball coach, at 8:30. We'll see what players are available. We might drop in on some of them as the morning progresses as well. DJ and PK. Coming up next, the question of the day. All about the Jazz with the season in the rearview mirror. That's next. Stay with us.
This is JJ and Alex. I got this.
Travis Yost, our guest, he covers the NHL for TSN.
For the Mammoth, I think they're the 4th best team in the West. I think that they would be a likely favorite against Anaheim. They could be or should be a favorite in a series against Vegas. If the Mammoth close the season as we expect, by goal differential, this is the best team that has ever been on the ice for either the Utah or Phoenix, Arizona Coyotes franchise by goal differential this season right here, right now. This team absolutely should not be thinking we made it to the playoffs. What an accomplishment. At this point, considering how good the Mammoth have been, and I mean that, they really should be thinking, how do we go in and win a round in the playoffs? And I think if you've got Anaheim on the ice, even if you're the road team in that series, that's a matchup the Mammoth should want, and it's one they should win.
Catch JJ and Alex afternoons from 3 to 7 on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone, and the Jazz season is all done. Finished. Over. 22 wins, 60 defeats. How glad are we that that is over? Joey says glad, probably not the right word to use. Relieved is more the word that I would say.
Relieved?
Relieved.
No. I want to be relieved.
What? You asked his emotion? That's his emotion.
Yeah, I think it's a dumb emotion. I understand how the
agony.
process worked. I was not confused about that. You didn't need to clarify that.
Agony. And he's relieved.
That doesn't make any sense to me.
Matt, fire Ainge, force Smith out. They have failed this community.
Which one?
I suspect he means Danny. Austin barely got here, and it started under Danny.
Get rid of Daniel, keep Austin?
Or he might just say all of the above. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, now we're getting to the good stuff.
Ethan, I hope next year is serious, but if one guy gets hurt, I won't be surprised if it goes back to tanking. That would surprise me.
Yeah, I don't know that they have a player of that caliber that would make that big of a difference individually.
The scoring load is going to be split 2, maybe 3 guys. If you're lucky, 4.
Yeah, I mean, they don't have a
one of them
clearly
going down, the other
identifiable
3 should-
superstar that this is my team and I'm going to take us wherever we want to go. I don't see that. They've got a bunch of very good players. And so they could, I mean, you don't want any injuries, but yeah, injuries are going to happen. I mean, that's just a fact. I mean, Markkanen is a tin man. I mean, he doesn't, he's a part-time player. He makes more money in millions than he usually does games played. I mean, those are facts. And we can come up with, there's this reason, there's that reason. Sure, there's a bunch of people who want to defend him, and defend him all you want. It's legitimate.
Well,
but,
I mean, it starts with the Ainges. They gave him multiple years and $50 million. So clearly they don't expect him to be the tin man, although his career stats are what they are.
I don't know what they expect. How do you know? How would you know what to expect of him? You expect what you see at this point, don't you? You expect something different?
Well, I think they do, because I don't think you give him that kind of money unless you expect something different. Don't you think? Or are we at a point where
they expected him to be an Iron Man when he's never been an Iron Man?
The money in the league has grown so much, you'll give $50 million to somebody who's going to play 55, 60, maybe 65 games.
Well, I mean, look around. Isn't that what the status is?
Yes, and if you do, well, for some teams it is, and if you do it in Philadelphia, you end up routinely not getting the conference final, some years being seeded 6, 7, 8. That's where they are this year. But for the best teams, that's certainly where the Warriors are. I mean, they're paying Steph Curry a ton of money, and, he hasn't been great at staying on the court the last couple of years.
Kawhi Leonard?
Jimmy Butler hasn't. Kawhi Leonard with the Clippers. And, again, we're talking about teams that are seeded 6, 7, 8. So they're not exactly opening the championship window that we've talked about.
Right, but those are veteran guys, and the Oklahoma City guys are younger guys. So their time will come. Judging them, when those guys were not making this kind of money, they were playing a lot of games too. Now that they're making this kind of money, they're not, except for Embiid. Was Kawhi, I have to go back and check, was he injured all the time when he was with San Antonio?
Yes. That's where.
Well, and he's a phenomenal player to go in the Hall of Famer and be injured his whole career. Wow, I didn't realize he was that good.
That's where resting the Hall of Famers and load management really took off. Was San Antonio
with Kawhi Leonard?
It started before he was there. I mean,
I'm talking about Kawhi Leonard, and I'm not talking about San Antonio. I don't care about them.
I can remember Ginobili and Parker not making trips to Utah, but I think they were still 70-game guys.
Oh yeah, who cares at that point? So I think that the talent on this team next year will be spread around. That's the original point. But I would suspect Markkanen's going to miss his fair share. He always does.
Kawhi's only played 70 games in a season twice.
Thank God for the
both
internet.
In San Antonio, but he had 5 other years he was there where he didn't get to 70 and a couple where he didn't get to 60.
Right, and so they kept giving him the big money, and they expected something different. Like the Jazz expected, you told me Markkanen, they expected him to play. Well, then you just tell me with Kawhi Leonard, he barely plays, only once, and they still gave him the huge money. Yeah, it happens.
Yeah, and Toronto hit it right. They got him for a year. And the thing is, he sat games there, but he was healthy for the playoffs.
Yeah.
So there is that.
I mean, it will continue to be that forever and ever.
They won the championship.
That's the new standard.
Play 60 and then be healthy for the playoffs and win the championship. Yeah. Jazz in the season 22-60. How glad are we that it is over? So many of you weighing in. Philip, it's finally done. I see no reason why they don't go 82-0 next season.
Me either.
Hashtag tank no more. He's already building bumper stickers.
Well, the tank's over.
They got to win now.
I mean, these we don't have to see these dudes and try to be excited. I mean, the last 2-3 weeks, 4 weeks is a joke. These triple doubles off the bench of a bunch of no names. I mean, that actually by having these guys the other night with these triple doubles, that actually does more harm to the game. It doesn't promote it. These guys aren't NBA big-time players, and we're supposed to get excited about that? No, that just shows that these last few weeks was a joke. And I've got Kevin Love standing up and Will Hardy giving thumbs down to the crowd. Could you imagine Jerry Sloan doing that?
No. Nope.
Yeah, check KSL.com tomorrow morning, late tomorrow morning. It's a joke. They made a joke of it. And the system allows them or basically demands them to make a joke of it. The freaking league, you can't trade for anybody. Free agents, they de-incentivize winning. They don't want teams to be on top for a long time. So they got this salary issue and this cap and this restriction and apron. And the apron, what the crap is that? That's what I put on when I go to the kitchen. And they prevent that from happening. So the only way to build your team is through the draft. And then after 8 teams had a winning percentage below .333, the most ever. And now we're going to change everything after San Antonio and Detroit, especially San Antonio, cashed in repeatedly. Now we're going to change everything? Come on, Adam Silver. You're a little slow to make some changes here, aren't you, buddy?
Let the Spurs have draft pick 1, draft pick 2, and draft pick 4, and then slam the door on everybody else. Actually, the Jazz might slip through the door just in the nick of time.
Yeah, and they fine them. What a joke.
Yep, it was G League guys posting triple doubles against other G League guys.
It made a mockery of the league.
Yeah.
I wasn't celebrating it. Friday night was like the first time all season I couldn't stand to watch it. It was an absolute embarrassment.
And coaches not subbing guys, playing guys 48 minutes.
Yeah, that's it.
Anything to lose.
It wasn't real. And they're piling up those stats made it even worse. It's nothing to celebrate. Good for those individuals, those youngsters. They had their moment in the sun. I'm happy for them. But in terms of the integrity of the league, wow, that took a huge blow. But that's over now, man. Away we go. Yes, I'm glad it's over. We've gone through 4 years. Now it's all about winning. Now it's good times. I don't know to what level, but I expect good times to come. And we'll see. The 26-27 will be like the baseline, and then we go from there, right? Whatever they achieve, and maybe they blow us away and just achieve way more. That'd be awesome. But the way I look at it, it's sort of like this next season is the baseline. Like the Mammoth this season is the baseline, and then we go from there.
Alex says, rinse and repeat next year, I'm sure. And gets 3 thumbs up and laughing emojis.
No.
I can't believe that.
Nope. They got too much talent now. They've
Jet
played
says
by
this
the
season
rules.
Yeah.
And their team has gotten better. To what extent? Remains to be seen, and that'll be fascinating to watch it be discovered over the next couple years. And then they'll make some changes, obviously, to improve the team this year. Then they'll follow it up. It'll be a continuing pattern. And to what degree? What is their level of competence? I expect next year will be extremely competitive and see where they sit this time next year. I think we'll have an 83rd game. I obviously hope we'll have an 83rd game. And then away we go, man. Can they do it? Yeah, sure. It seems inconceivable if you're a Jazz fan because you don't want to acknowledge that it's going to happen because you've been wanting it to happen so long and it hasn't happened in 30, 40 years except, a blip here and there. Well, I get it, but I'm not that person. I can look at it. I mean, everyone is biased, but whatever objectivity combined with my bias that I have, I see this franchise having an opportunity to be really good.
Chad says this season was necessary and could not have ended sooner. I'm ready to start next season and compete for deep playoff runs.
Yeah,
He doesn't just want game 83, PK.
Right.
He wants 90 plus.
That's why I scoffed at relief. I'm not relieved that it's over. I'm excited for what's ahead.
Tim says they shouldn't even need a top 8 pick. They should have enough now.
Well, I don't know.
They don't have enough now.
I don't know what's going to happen with Kessler, so I can't really say that.
Yeah, but to your earlier point, do they have a great player who's just going to put them on the back? No, I don't think they have the All-NBA top 15 player. Not this year, not next year. Maybe one of these young guys will turn into it. Obviously, all eyes are on Ace Bailey, and everybody's hoping A.J. DeBonsa shows up, and may they both play their entire Hall of Fame careers here. Best case scenario.
Were you pronouncing a blessing upon the Jazz?
But next year, if that's what it takes, PK, whatever's necessary.
May they.
May they.
And I'm not going to rule out that they don't have a top 15 player.
Next season?
No, possibly. So with Jaren Jackson, maybe he's just entering his prime. We've seen some good stuff. Now, we haven't watched him day to day. And now going forward, maybe he really takes a huge not just one incremental, but 2 or 3. It's possible. I mean, Markkanen's got all the skills in the world to be a great player. So, yeah, I can see that. I mean, maybe I have to stretch to see it, but I don't think it's out of the realm. They win 55 games next year, somebody's going to get it.
Well, there's that, and it's also easier to get now because so many guys, assuming they keep that 65-game threshold, a lot of guys who normally would get it.
I'm not talking about some formal designation. I'm talking about what I see with my eyes. I'm not worried about that 65-game nonsense. I don't care about that. I'm talking about the way I see it because me only matters to me.
Carl was way ahead of his time through my eyes.
Well, I mean, that's the way I'm going to judge it. If somebody plays 64, all of a sudden he's not eligible in my mind as I dope it out, no, I'm not going to account for that.
If the Joker plays 64 and posts a triple-double on his season averages, he's a top 15 player, whether he is or isn't.
Right, exactly, yes, precisely, yes. Right. And he may get a sprained ankle or something, and the reason why he didn't play the 25 or whatever 72 to 65 or whatever it is. That's not 25, obviously. But there may be some 82, not 72. But there may be some legitimate reason, and I'm going to hold it against them. I mean, the league might in their rules. That's fine. They can do whatever they want. But the rest of us aren't going to.
Spencer's more in line with what you're saying. I don't care what anyone says. Next year is when all the rebuilding is over. Yeah. Game on 2026 and 2027.
And we will see that. I have no doubt. And, yeah, I get the frustration with Hatback and Daniel R. Ainge. But what else were they going to do? I mean, now that it's – I kind of view this as BYU going independent. At the time, they had no choice. And I was talking to a BYU fan. I spent some time with him Saturday. And he was telling me, boy, the independence the last few years was so hard, but now he's jacked, right? He's looking at and we're talking about football, obviously, and he's looking at the team and what they've done the last 2 years, and he's got super anticipation, and independence wore on, and it became, we got to get out of it. But when they made the decision, they had no choice but to do what they did. Back when they did it. I really believe that. It got stale, especially when your rival up the street is playing for Rose Bowls. They played for Rose Bowls. They got in 2. They played for literally win and go another 2 times. But then deep in November, they're playing for it probably another 3 or 4 times, right? And so all the momentum had shifted. It's the same thing. When they did what they did, they really had no choice. And it waned, and it just got so old. But now we're over it. And BYU football has 2 seasons of excellent seasons. The Jazz haven't yet, but I anticipate them having it in 26-27. Or very good. Good. Maybe bare minimum good. Maybe you want to go very good. Maybe you want to go excellent. We'll have to see.
Darren says, I might have watched 5 games all year. It's so boring. On my free time, I want to be entertained, and the Jazz are not entertaining at all. Don't have much hope for the future as long as Ainge and his son are around. Talk about nepotism.
Sure, you can talk about it all you want, but I don't think that that's going to be an impediment to success.
I get a lot of what he's saying. I get the frustration. I get all that. But I don't have much hope for the future. It does look like they have a bunch of good players. You want to argue that they're short on great players, you can argue that. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not, and we'll all sit around and watch and find out. But they have enough good players, there ought to be hope for the future. And not only that, they have good players, and they're going to have some where the ceiling is just so unknown because the players are so young.
Well, I mean,
I don't really get that. I don't have much
This
hope.
guy's a fan. You did that.
Yep.
You checked out on the Padres, and then you were so reluctant. You told us Juan Soto had a bad year when he had a great season for the Padres because it hurt you, and it's the same
He was ready
process.
to leave the second he got there. Don't start me on Juan Soto.
You can stick to it's not whether he's going to stay or go. They're all going to go. Very few stay. I mean, that's the reality of the situation. Tony Gwynn stayed. Everybody else left in the history of the franchise. So that's going to happen. But you were scarred, and so you had defense mechanisms. That's what fans do. So I get that post. Sure, it's easy for me to say because I don't really have any of those teams that I live and die by. It's all fun and games to me. Nothing more, nothing less.
Tim says, as a season ticket holder fan, tanking was the right thing to do, so I get it. As a sponsor who spends a big chunk of change, I hate it. We definitely did not get value this year, but we do play the long haul, but it's very frustrating.
Yeah, I would go past tense, though. Not played. It isn't frustrating. It was frustrating. I would just change that a little bit there. And I would suspect Will Hardy today, we're not going to be talking about Oscar DeShiway and Kennedy Chandler or Chandler Kennedy or some of these other dudes. I mean, my gosh, if I have to hear about the Lion King one more time, I'm going to pull my hair out. I mean, we don't have to hear about that stuff anymore. Those guys are end of the bench guys. And maybe Lion King will rise up. Good for him. I hope he does. But it's about the core now. And I suspect that we're going to hear Will Hardy at the top of the hour talk way more about Keontae George than the Lion King or Kennedy Chandler or Chandler Kennedy and some of these other guys that were out there. Who's another guy? Masheeb Ding, who had a triple-double the other night. I mean, they had 2 of them, right? They went for years and years, and now these no-namers get them. They're not going to be talking about it. They may mention them as a group in general, but we're done with that. It's going to be what George needs to do and what Cody Williams needs to do, and we know the names, those guys, and what Ace Bailey needs to do, right? That's the good thing. We don't have to pretend. We don't have to find positives to pump up. We can talk real now.
Steve says, that was a masterpiece of dog bleep. Well done, Steve. Way to call for the drop. You're the man.
Well, yeah, but then it's Hardy wasn't near as critical this year as he was back then.
That was a masterpiece of dog
Right. And now it was when who they lose to the Pelicans the other night. Oh, fatigue and the schedule caught up. So they played the Pelicans who lost 8 in a row. The schedule caught up to you, and you played guys 48 minutes, and then you tell me about fatigue. We know what they were trying to do. Mission accomplished. Now we don't have to pretend anymore. We can talk about real winning and losing.
Yeah, the last 20 games, he wasn't even remotely angry with anybody.
Right.
Anything. He just got up and said whatever he had to say in the postgame.
To get it over. It was perfunctory. Yeah. He should have just said, I'm here so I don't get fined.
Yes.
But he doesn't have any stature in the league, so he can't tell us his political feelings, and he can't be sarcastic or any of that stuff because he's won nothing and he's going into his 5th year. Not that it's his fault. So he has to play the game.
Yep. All right, DJ and PK, Rory McIlroy played the game, and now he's playing it at the highest level. We will get to that next. Stay with us, DJ and PK. It's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. The KSL Sports Zone and Beehive Meals are honoring people that impact youth sports in our communities. Nominate the youth sports volunteer you know for the Beehive Meals Hero of the Week at KSLSports.com/contest and listen every Thursday afternoon to JJ and Alex for the winner. It's the Beehive Meals Hero of the Week. Rory McIlroy becomes the fourth golfer to win consecutive Masters. How impressive is that? Jeff, it was awesome. I think Rory's allergic to two-shot leads, though. What does it matter? Win by 1, 2, or 3. Just find a way to win. Does anybody remember how many strokes Tiger and Jack won by in all of their, whatever it is, 33 combined majors?
Yeah, I think he
Sometimes
won
they
his
lapped
first
the field.
Masters by 12.
Sometimes they grind it out. Sometimes they lap the field. Whatever. Didn't it just matter that they won 15 and 18?
I don't know anyone's debating that.
I thought it was really impressive he pulled that off. I mean, we're clearly watching an all-timer here. The 6 majors, the back-to-back Masters, the career slam. I mean, he's got stuff people just dream of pulling off, and he's got 3 of them.
3 what?
3 things that define you as winning back-to-back Masters, very rare. Winning 6 majors, very rare. Winning the career slam, very rare.
Well, making the PGA Tour very rare.
Would be impressive. But the fact he's done all 3 of them, I'm very impressed.
Yeah, the back-to-back is more an oddity than really that big of a deal. So if he won 3 out of 4 or 3 out of 5 and he didn't win back-to-back, it wouldn't
still be impressed.
Yeah. So I'd put that on the bottom of the list. I think that he's established himself as the greatest golfer of his generation, and I believe he's established himself as the greatest golfer since Tiger. In Tiger's heyday. And there were several guys, and it took a little while too, because he got it young, and then there was a dry spell, and now he's got it again. And I mean, he's still young enough because he played young enough, won young enough, and what's he, like 35-ish, somewhere in there, 36? Who's to say that he couldn't get 3, 4, 5 more? Freddie Couples said, man, I don't see him losing. They said that before the tournament, or at least after the first round or something, that I can see him winning the next whatever. He said every one. Well, he's not going to win every one until he dies, obviously. But he's going to have an opportunity to be right there and see how far this can go. Can this take off? We've all been starving the golf world for another player to rival what Tiger did, but the best you can hope for is rival. I don't think you can say, wow, I expect him to be winning 16, 17 majors. And now he has this opportunity with 6. Can he get to 10? Is that possible?
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
You were talking earlier about him hitting these numbers and these goals, and you're like, the back-to-back, like, all these guys. They watched him. They aren't some, name from a book or a list.
Right, Bobby
grainy
Jones
black and white
or
photo.
something like that,
Yeah,
I want stuff now. I want greatness now, and he's providing it.
So at 10, he's blown past Arnold Palmer, Tom Watson, Ben Hogan, and Gary Player. Wow. Awesome.
Yeah. Can he do it? I don't know if he can do it, but we're gonna watch to see if he can do it. And the one I think it's time we changed up your territorial pick. My grandfather was born in Ireland. I'm taking Rory.
My father-in-law, O'Neill, the O'Neill family. I'm in. I get Rory.
No, that's I got blood,
we got
brother.
An apostrophe.
I got blood. You don't. I'm literal second-generation American here.
DJ and PK, when we come back, Will Hardy to the microphone, the Jazz, the old clean out the lockers interview. Now they're not cleaning out the lockers. They're sitting in a small press room. We will hear from the coach, his analysis of this season, and looking forward to next year. That's coming up, 8 o'clock hour. Stay with us right here on The Zone.
Make game day yours. Tickets, food and drinks, stats, and streaming. Everything you need is in the Utah Mammoth app. Download today and make game night easy. Download on both Android and iPhone. Just top.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. The Utah Jazz season is in the books. They lost game number 60. The Lakers beat them. It's all done. Today's the Clean Out the Lockers Day. Press conferences, we will be carrying them either live or taped as they happen or don't happen or eventually happen. We'll let you know what everyone has to say as they put this season in the books. Look forward to the draft, the offseason, and next year. Will Hardy's scheduled to speak at 8 a.m. Hasn't started yet. Yock's monitoring that, and we will have it for you when it begins. And that would be right now. All right, here's Will Hardy.
Successful season, and did you accomplish most of the things you wanted to, more than you wanted to?
Yeah, I think it was for sure a successful year for our group. I think we have a much better understanding now of who we are as a group in this moment. We have a better understanding now of some of our, really all of our players, in particular the young players. I think when we say young players, we're generally talking about the guys on their rookie scale contracts. I think we saw individual improvement from everybody. I think it helps us, again, have a better understanding of where we are as we look towards the future now. But also very proud of the way the team conducted themselves every day. They came to work, they took feedback, they really gelled as a group. Like, you guys were around our team a lot. We had an incredible spirit of the group this year. So overall, I thought it was certainly a success.
A lot of the guys, when we talk to them, are not secretive about the fact that they're like, yeah, we can make the playoffs next year. Like, that's the goal that they're looking at. I mean, Lowry's chomping at the bit to just get there one time, you know.
Right.
Do you think that this roster is capable of making it to the postseason in the Western Conference?
Well, I mean, we don't know what that roster is going to be opening day next year.
If it was as constructed.
I don't know. I really don't. We've, Jaron played 2 games with us. We didn't have Walker during that time. There's a lot of circumstances that go into projecting win totals in playoffs or not. I think certainly it'll be great to have expectations. I think it'll be great to be able to put the group out there and see where we stack up. You know, I think we all want to improve. I think we're very capable of improving and taking a step forward. How big that step is, I don't know yet. There's so many factors that are not in our control as it relates to everybody else when you start stacking yourselves up. But I'm glad the guys are excited. Like, I want them to have that mindset as they go into their summer work. Goals, things in the distance to look at and to kind of hunt, I think is good for everybody's competitive spirit.
When we talk to them, especially the young guys that we're talking about, often when we ask them kind of in exit interview settings what they want to work on this summer, the general answer from all of them is everything. I want to work on everything. And we've talked to you about that before. So maybe Ace, Keontae, where are the biggest kind of areas for them to hone in on?
Ace's body is first and foremost. We talked a little bit yesterday about, with young players, the biggest gap you're trying to bridge early is the physical one. Ace is an incredible athlete. He's also young. And so I think for him to try to take this offseason and really dig into his body is very important. And then I think he and Keontae, it's going to be about your individual defense. We're going to have to take a huge step in that area, and before a collective group can take a step forward on the defensive side. Every person has to take a step forward. That means your one-on-one defense. That means your understanding of scheme. That means your ability to play at a disadvantage, play 1 versus 2 and make choices. You know, personnel comes into effect a lot, but you know, using the word expectation that you asked about earlier, I have a high expectation for those two in their offseason. You have to do the work, and you can say that you want certain things. You can say, I have expectations next year of X, Y, and Z, and those things are all great to say, but those two, the rest of our locker room, myself, our coaching staff, like, we all have work to do this summer, and that way when we get back together as a team, you know, you get to sort of show off some of the things that you worked on, and it also shows the rest of the group that you're willing to do the things necessary to improve. So I have high expectations for their work this summer.
With Jaron only playing 2 games, how clear are you on his role next year, and what have those discussions been like between you and him with envisioning that next year?
I think the discussions have been frequent and will continue to be frequent. In this moment, the clarity is not great. I have plenty of ideas. I have plenty of concepts that I think will be very good for him, but I think any coach would tell you it all looks good on the board. Like, we're all really smart in a meeting, but you got to get the guys on the floor, and you got to let them show you a little bit too, like what's possible. I think one thing that we have done very well as an organization, and I want to give our coaching staff credit, is that we have not put players in a box here. We have tried to really explore the depth of possibility with all of our players, and Jaron's no different. He has, you know, he has enough of a career behind him that he has a reputation, and so we all envision one thing. But I'd like to see if there's more. I think that's always our vision as a staff is, you know, you don't want to make the team a laboratory, but you do need to test certain things to see what's possible, because these guys are, the talent level in our league has never been higher. And I just think there's so much context to basketball in particular in terms of style of play and who your teammates are and what your role is and what that allows you to show. And we saw that this year with our young players. As they got more opportunity and they got sort of moved up the pecking order in a game, you saw some things that maybe you hadn't seen before. So Jaron will be no different.
Between Walker and Jaron, if Walker's back, you seem like you have good rim deterrence. Where is that as a starting spot for the defense next season?
Huge. I think protecting the rim and owning the backboard, you know, is a really good place to start. The possession battle in our league is extremely important. You see different ways to attack that. There's forcing turnovers, and then there's the rebounding margin. And I think that if those two guys are together, hopefully we can do a good job of both, but it's not going to just be them. We've seen and learned a lot about it takes an entire team to protect the rim. It takes a collective mindset to protect the rim, and it takes a lot of relentlessness to rebound in our league now. The crashing is going up from your opponents, and you know, with the amount of threes that are shot, the variety of bounces is up. So it's going to take the whole group, but those two would be a good starting point.
We talked a lot this year about how your message to the group last year was that no one's going to come in and save them. Is it a similar message this year? Have you changed the message for them heading into the offseason?
No. No, I have not changed it. Yes, the message is the same. We have to operate every day like this is it. And that's the mindset. And until or if something changes, that's a different story. But I want all of our players to envision that next year is a breakout year for them. You know, every good player, every great player in our league has had a quote-unquote breakout season. Happens at different points for different people, but I would like for all of our players to be thinking that it could be them. I felt like going back to last summer, it was what drove Keontae. And the other guys worked just as hard. It's not that Keontae worked harder than anybody else, but he ended up having, you know, a little bit of a mini breakout season for himself. And it's because of the work he put in. So I expect that for everybody this summer.
Guys like Nurk and Kevin, do you do any advocating to maybe bring them back or to have veterans of that caliber on the roster?
Yeah, I think it's more nuanced than just advocating. I think you have to give real, honest perspective on what people bring to the group. You talk about the things that they added in our locker room, on the floor, away from the court, the way they handle the other veterans, the way they handle the young players, because the decisions aren't just as simple as like, we love Kevin and we love Nurk. If it was that simple, man, it would be a lot easier to deal with the ebbs and flows of roster movement in this league, you know, especially as a coach. Like you get attached to these guys, like you do. We're in it together, we're with them every day. You build real relationships. You know, I've been fortunate to coach a bunch of guys who you kind of have two layers of the relationship. You've got the coach-player one, and you've got the human-to-human one. And so, yeah, I think you sort of advocate for all the guys in different ways, but it's really just about making sure we understand all of the factors. Like, here are all the things they bring as we look to put together the best group that we can. You know, there are a lot of different ways to do it, but yeah, I'm a big fan of those two guys. I think what they did for our group this year, it can't be measured, but if you've been around our team, you definitely feel it every day.
How did Keontae's breakout that you mentioned, I guess, kind of open up things for the roster and then change the trajectory as far as the willingness to like kind of move out of this phase that you guys have been in for a few years?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I think it was more, it gave us the feeling of we have a really good young player in our program. I don't know if Keontae is, you know, the reason why we did anything. I think it was more a lot of excitement for us that we were developing somebody internally who can really help us going forward. I do think Keontae, and the way that he plays, he can play with a lot of different people, which is also exciting as a coach. But I wouldn't say that, you know, because of Keontae's breakout year is why we did X, Y, or Z.
One of the things that I asked Keontae was if he thought that we were going to see a different side of you next year. And without skipping a beat, he was like, oh yeah. Because I think that, you know, with a healthy roster and with the additions to the roster and what could potentially be possible, I think that he sees it as you wanting to win just as much as everyone else, and that he'll see kind of more of that. Do you think that there's truth to that?
Been here 4 years. Do you guys not think that you've seen all sides of me at this point?
I don't.
No?
No.
Yeah, I'm not sure if the dosage may be different on certain things, but I feel like I've been pretty open and honest with the team and with you guys. throughout my time here, Keontae's probably nervous. But that would be appropriate.
Good.
Yeah.
What else? Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, there's Will Hardy, and during that interview I was told there'll be no live player interviews today, so we'll see if some quotes and some sound comes out, but that's it right there for live today during our show. PK, he hit on several points there, and we got Steve Cleveland coming up, and we can get to them with Steve and all that. But you heard him talk about Jaren Jackson, which is what you were alluding to earlier in the show. What more is there? I mean, he's going to be careful what he says, but when I heard him talk, what I thought I heard him mean, even though he's not going to say it, is Ja Morant gets a lot of shots, and Ja Morant tends to attack one-on-one from the top of the key. Maybe there's other ways Jaren could play that could get him the ball, and we got to see if we can unlock some stuff there. And you were talking earlier about what kind of upside does Jaren Jackson Jr. have, and clearly you're thinking the same way Will Hardy is thinking right there.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it's a blank canvas for Jaren Jackson Jr. because of the fact that they only had him for 2 games. And he looked good in both of those games, obviously. And, anytime a player who's a very good player is in a new setting, you're not really sure. And with that in mind, how's he going to play out? That's what's going to be fascinating to see. I'm real intrigued about this. I'm thinking that logically they think that the best is yet to come, so to speak, and that they're going to not necessarily unlock him, because I think that's too drastic. I don't think he's been locked. I think they're going to expand him. The idea is to expand him as it is to expand marketing and expand everybody on this roster, because nobody right now on this roster, Kevin Love, but he's not going to be a big-time player even if he comes back. These types of guys, you can argue literally every single one of them, certainly the younger guys, the draft picks here in the last 3 years, there's no question. But even these 2 guys, and throw Kessler in there definitely also, is that they haven't hit their stride. And whatever they have, they've got more to give. And it's up to Will and his staff to get that and put those guys in a position. I think Will understands that completely, that, okay, I've got these guys. They bring a certain level, but our goal and desire is to increase that level for literally every single one of them. And for some, maybe Jackson's just a little bit, and obviously for Ace Bailey, just a young kid, it's a long way to go for him to see how great he can be. That's their mindset. So I buy all of that.
I was really glad to hear him say Ace Bailey, Keontae George defending.
Yeah.
I thought he let his jersey, his inner jersey out to whatever degree he has that. But I could hear you nodding when he said mini breakout for Keontae, because there are a lot of Jazz fans and some media members who would say Keontae took a massive step forward, and he's scaling back. That's a mini step. There's a lot more to do.
Well, he has to say that. You don't want anybody to be satisfied.
Exactly.
And the breakout that he had was impressive. No problem admitting that. But it was impressive, as Locke has talked about, rightfully so and accurately, in a non-consequential situation. Mm-hmm. There wasn't much on the line. As Locke was saying, and we replayed it this morning, Keontae's never been in a game that really mattered. Now, the games mattered to him, but in terms of to the team, he was allowed to make mistakes, and it was just he's been in a lab for 3 years. Now it's time for the tests. I think we can all relate to that, going through school, right? It's basically been a lab experiment his first couple years. Now, these last 2, forget about his rookie year. Now it's like, all right, now we're playing to win. Now everything matters. Did you screen? Did you all the various aspects of basketball 101, put them all there and pick in a hat, and every one of them will matter. Well, before, okay, it mattered to a degree, but not that much. Ryan Smith wants to win and win bad. And so I wouldn't be surprised if we see a little bit of a different Ryan Smith now, because, he's just sat there on the front row knowing what the circumstance is. Well, he's been biding his time, and now everybody, I'm not saying he's going to go over to Larry Miller and scream at the coach. Larry was an emotional guy. We know that. Ryan doesn't seem to be that emotional. But the point being, your owner's going to be right there, and he's demanding the standard has been increased. and will be increased dramatically, and that's what's going to be fun about it. Winning and playing to win is back for the Utah Jazz.
The Ryan Smith point is super interesting. We have to get back to that. I've read some stuff on social media today, and I know he gets it directly, and I am sure he has seen it, and he has been biding his time and biting his tongue for the last 4 seasons.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wants to win. He gets why people are frustrated, but he absolutely wants a W. You're right. That will be interesting. That'll be very interesting to watch him. Will said a couple of other interesting things, and they resonate with all coaches. Steve Cleveland coached at BYU and Fresno State as the head coach. He joins us next, and we'll talk about Will's postseason statements with him. Stay with us.
Whirls around and down. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone is your exclusive home of the Utah Jazz. And we want to send you to the Delta Center to see the Jazz in action. Listen every Tuesday for the Jazz Ticket Tuesday Sounder at 30 past the hour, every hour, all day long. And if you're caller number 12, you'll be on your way to an upcoming game.
Buy one, you'll get one free.
It's Jazz Ticket Tuesday, every Tuesday throughout the NBA season on your radio home for the Utah Jazz. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. We are joined now by Steve Cleveland, former BYU and Fresno State basketball coach. Steve, good morning.
Good morning, guys.
Steve, the Utah Jazz season is in the books. 4 years of tanking, 22-60. We just heard from Will Hardy, his season-ending comments. And this will shock you not at all. He went in on defending and rebounding as a group. Yes, start with the 2 7-footers and Jaren Jackson and Walker Kessler, assuming Kessler is back. But pointed out 3-point shots, more long, unpredictable rebounds. It's everybody's job. This is coaching 101, am I right? But nonetheless,
yes.
Absolutely on point.
No, he is on point, and they're there every day with it, and they see it. And I mean, it's challenging when you take a look at number one, just the injuries with this group. And as I was kind of preparing and thinking about where the Jazz are and where they're going forward, but when you start looking at Keontae George with a hamstring issue, Isaiah Collier with a hamstring issue, Jaren Jackson out for the season with a knee injury, Walker Kessler shoulder surgery. The game is tough enough, and and the challenge of just competing and taking this program to the next level are all things that just happen in the course of a year. But then you add on all the injuries, and you realize what a difficult time this has been. That being said, I have been around a lot of NBA teams and organizations and lived in communities. I have never seen a community more supportive of their team, regardless of what the injuries are or the record is or just the overall play of the Jazz. And I think that it says a lot about the fan base here. That's all I was going to say, is that loyal fans, but very, very difficult, challenging times for coaches and players. And hopefully some positive things can happen in the draft and guys can get healthy and the Jazz can be competitive again.
How much is improvement is the responsibility of the coaches and the coaching staff and all the stuff that goes in and the folks there versus the individual?
Well, first of all, I think they kind of go together. I'm not there in the facility, though I have been in a number of NBA facilities and have friends and individuals, people I know that I talk to. First and foremost, just the absolute pride and commitment of players should be at the very top of the list. Yes, there are going to be, you have great facilities, the Jazz, and there are opportunities for weight training and workouts and all the things that happen. But at the end of the day, I think the number one responsibility is players. And if they're healthy, they should be working out daily. They should be working towards getting better. They should be having communication with assistants. And, I haven't been around the NBA game a lot in terms of the inner workings, But I can't believe it's that much different than when I was a college coach or even a high school coach or junior college coach. Those things are pretty simple, and that is that, if we're going to get better, it starts with the players. And from there, it's the relationships with coaches, working together, what we can do to get better. So I don't think we're going to point a finger here or there. I just think all of them have a responsibility. And, the Jazz, we know what their injuries were, but there were issues before the injuries. And I'm just hoping that whether it's the draft or trades, that the Jazz can get better through that process.
On the one hand, there's a lot of stuff that hasn't changed since you coached, Steve, but on the other hand, there's a lot of stuff that has changed. And, it's the club's responsibility to provide the facilities, but boy, at the college and pro level, the facilities have gotten awesome. I think most clubs have done their duty there, and it's their duty to provide the big enough staff so everybody has somebody to work with individually. I think we're all old enough to remember when you went to practice and a coach said one thing and, you ought to be doing this, and it only applied to maybe a third or a half of the team. And now guys can get coached on what applies to them every single day for a couple hours if they want. Maybe that's why we're seeing younger players have more of an impact in the NBA. It used to be you were 27 before you got really to that elite championship level, and we're seeing what's happening in Oklahoma City with a young team, what's happening in San Antonio with a young team. And even, Luka Doncic, look how awesome he was at an early age. If these guys want to improve, there's a lot out there. There's video and computer analysis that didn't exist when you coached, and I think that's one of the reasons these young guys are getting better at an earlier age.
Yeah, I completely agree. And, I think sometimes we look at whether it's NFL, NBA, whatever the league is, that, we look at the end results and not knowing sometimes what are the inner workings and what kind of commitments being made. And I have been in NFL facilities, I've been in NBA facilities, and there's never been a time where I didn't feel and believe that they were doing everything they could to get better physically, mentally, emotionally, all of those things combined. Today's athletes, I think we could, whether it's collegiate athletes or NBA athletes, sometimes I'll hear comments and things are said regarding, how easy they have it and, how everything's catered to them. These guys are the most competitive people on the planet, and they want to be successful, and the coaches want them to be successful. And, when you look at the Jazz and you kind of see the injuries and all the things that have taken place, but let's just say that everybody was healthy. Would they have won 10 more games or 15 more games? And I think the answer to that is yes. But it's also a long-term building process that probably frustrates fan base, frustrates, different groups of people in terms of why can't the Jazz get to the next level. I'm hoping that trades and the draft will improve and the Jazz, and that people can get healthy. And I've said this before, and I've heard you guys say it many times, this is the most amazing fan base I've ever seen in terms of loyalty, in terms of commitment, and, just being a part of the community. And that's one of the things I really respect about the players, the Jazz players, is how involved they are in community, despite how difficult it is for them to lose and not be as successful as they might like. There's a commitment at all levels there.
For Coach Will Hardy, how much studying do you think he needs to do in the offseason? Because it's going to be a brand new team, in essence, with a brand new purpose.
Well, you approach that every season. You approach things like that. You're right. There is going to be a brand new purpose. There is going to be, new directions and changes. And I'm not in the Jazz locker room. I'm not privy to those things. I might have an occasional conversation with Austin, or meet some folks on the road, and have a conversation. But so I'm not sure that I have the kind of input that's probably needed to really answer that question. But again, these are professionals, and they need to be doing everything that they can on the court, off the court, emotionally, everything that you need to do to get better personally. And then I think it's the responsibility of the organization, the coaches, and you get into the NBA season and you wonder, you ask yourself, there's no time to practice. We're just on the road and we're constantly playing. And are we really doing things that differently once the season is moving forward? And the answer to that's probably no. I mean, yes, they have full-time jobs and they go to their practice facility and they can watch a ton of film and do those types of things. But those are also the same things they're doing at the collegiate level. And so I just think that if I'm sitting there and as part of that organization, number one is how much better can you get? And what kind of time commit are you going to make in the off season as we prepare for the next season? And that's where I think whether it's the coaches or the associate head coaches or the support groups or the trainers or anybody that has anything to do with that organization should just absolutely be committed to we're going to get better. And certainly a trade or two here can change everything. But if that's not possible, and hopefully that's not the case, that they can improve themselves through trades, that they spend the time and the effort. And I've been around enough teams, organizations in the NBA, in high school, college, junior college, and really when it comes down to it, if you want to improve and get better, you got to spend the time. You got to watch the film. You got to be committed to that, and then rather than just walking away for a couple months and then coming back and restarting again.
One thing Will Hardy did throw out there was he scaled back. Don't get anyone with a fat head, right? So he said, corrected, but fine-tuned a question and altered the assumption. So, Keontae had a nice mini breakout season, right? So there's much more for him to do. But then he also pivoted and put the onus on the other players who are going in their third year. Basically, you see what can happen in the third year. Now it's your third year. Now you need to make the jump he made, which does kind of acknowledge, he did make a pretty significant jump, right? So he's playing both sides of the coin, neither the first or last coach to do that, I suppose. So are there any of these guys that you look at and think this guy's poised for a big leap, more than another, or it's all let's get back in 6 months and see what they've done? They do it out of the spotlight, and we'll find out in 6 months. Or maybe you have an assumption, a hope that there's one player who's really going to make a difference this offseason.
Well, I'm looking at the roster right now. And obviously the thing that jumps out immediately is that, Keontae and Isaiah Collier and Jaren Jackson and Walker Kessler, everybody's hurt. So my first thought is let's get everybody healthy. And that's got to be the starting point. Now, there are some things where, hey, it's going to be 6 months and this is what it is. And you'll do everything you can to get yourself when it is time and when it is ready. And so those are the injury part of this. Is makes it really difficult. But that being said, when I'm just looking at the roster here, and Filipowski, he's 12-7-3, Sensabaugh is 15-3-2, Ace Bailey's 14-4-2, Markkanen being himself 27-7-3. Keontae, the numbers go. Jaren Jackson, all the things. If you take a look at this and make this a healthy group, I think we have a competitive team. I think we have a team that, is in a situation that they can get better and put themselves where, not always behind the eight ball when there's injuries and issues of that nature that really are debilitating. And I'm not talking about physically. I mean debilitating in terms of emotions, in terms of, confidence. It's hard to be confident if your body doesn't work. And the expectation for everybody is, get ready, get healthy, let's go forward and let's move. And there's so many people during the course of this season that have been hurt and really haven't been ready and being in a position to help this team. It's hard to evaluate the Jazz when you're up against those odds and you're hoping and wanting to get better. First thing you got to do is get healthy. And I'm sure they'll work on that here in the next 5 or 6 months, and hopefully they're prepared, and hopefully the draft's good to them. But I know the Jazz. I know enough about this organization that is their intent. But, man, it's got to be frustrating. And I remember as a coach, whether it was in high school or junior college or Division I, that when guys weren't healthy and guys weren't able to commit and be a part of a team, it was hard to sustain success. And we've watched the Jazz do this for a year or two now.
I understand you're back on the sidelines. What's this Utah Gold thing about?
Well, my son Casey has a travel team, and I'm not sure that my wife isn't the one that put Casey up to this. Just get me out of the house. But it's been fun to go to practice. I'm not the coach. I'm kind of a mentor, but it was fun the other day. We finished, and Casey just turned to me and he said, "Coach, what do you want to share with the guys?" And it gave me an opportunity to take 5 or 10 minutes and just talk to the guys. This is a 15 and under, 16 and under team that is talented and fun to watch and compete. And so maybe it was my wife that convinced Casey to do this, but I appreciate my son asking me to be a part of it. We're going to travel this summer. It'll be fun to reconnect with folks and be a part of it. So, yeah, it's fun. I mean, I don't I'm not the guy here, but to be with my son and to be with these young men, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Steve, thanks for the time as always. We appreciate it. We'll talk to you again next week, and we'll look forward to your draft breakdowns going forward. I know you get way. I've seen you show up on draft night with pages of notes, so don't hold out for draft night. We're ready before then. Thanks, Steve.
Take care. Bye-bye.
All right, DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. More reaction to Will Hardy and his season-ending comments coming up next, plus Rory McIlroy making golf history. It's all on the way. DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
This is JJ and Alex.
I got this. Travis Yost, our guest. He covers the NHL for TSN.
For the Mammoth, I think they're the fourth best team in the West. I think that they would be a likely favorite against Anaheim. They could be or should be a favorite in a series against Vegas. If the Mammoth close the season as we expect, by goal differential, this is the best team that has ever been on the ice for either the Utah or Phoenix, Arizona Coyotes franchise by goal differential this season right here, right now. This team absolutely should not be thinking we made it to the playoffs. What an accomplishment. At this point, considering how good the Mammoth have been, and I mean that, they really should be thinking, how do we go in and win a round in the playoffs? And I think if you've got Anaheim on the ice, even if you're the road team in that series, that's a matchup the Mammoth should want, and it's one they should win.
Catch JJ and Alex afternoons from 3 to 7 on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. And now, your Rocky Mountain Chevy dealer strong play of the weekend.
And here we go. His year again.
Rory is a rare repeat winner at Augusta.
Rory McIlroy wins. That is the Chevy Strong play of the game. Know it today after 3 o'clock. JJ and Alex will call for it, and you can win fabulous prizes. History, PK. We are watching history. 6 majors. There's only 15 guys in more than a century of golf that have pulled that off. He is in rarefied air right now. Do you think people fully appreciate it?
How good he is? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Watching one of the legends of the game.
Yes, because I think golf does a great thing in terms of bridging the past with the current, whatever is going on in the the game of golf as we speak, as I spit it out. So yes, I think people understand that these guys the legends are around the game. You talk about some of these guys, they don't know who player XYZ is in these other team sports, but in golf being an individual sport, it lends itself to history automatically. And yeah, I think maybe people don't pay attention, but for golf fans, they understand this is one of the all-timers. Yeah. And after you have been, what's the word? Not teased, but you have been shown what greatness was for so long by Tiger Woods, then, at least for me, I become addicted to it in terms of who's the next one. You know, we did that a lot with Jordan. Who's the next Jordan? And I guess you can throw LeBron and Kobe in there. There's other guys, you know, was it going to be Grant Hill? Well, it might have been, but, you know, he had a bunch of serious injuries that got in the way. And so we want that. We crave that because we've seen it now. And we want it to happen again because watching someone compete to the level that Tiger Woods did, almost like you felt like as you're watching your television that he's willing the ball into the hole. He's willing the ball on the green. When that ball sat there for 14 minutes and then finally went in the cup there, it's like, oh my gosh, that only happened because of him. Well, that doesn't really make any sense, but that's what we thought, right? How does he have power over a ball after it's left his club and just sits there for there's a few seconds, but obviously it seemed like a long time, and it drops in. It's like in our minds, only he could have done that. Well, we want that because that's addicting, and as you're a sports fan, you want that greatness. And McIlroy now, he's in the discussion to be a top 3 all-time, top 5, whatever it might be. Who knows?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, one of the things I was mentioning earlier in the show that he's got, you know, the 6 majors, that makes him one of the top 15. He's got the career slam, and I think there's, I have to look that up, 5 or 6 guys who've done that. But I was watching yesterday, they were talking about the possibility that he would win every major twice and complete a second career slam. And that list is Tiger and Jack. Like, okay, now you're getting in super rarefied air. But you brought up getting to 10 majors, which I guess we shouldn't roll out because he's still roughly in his mid-30s.
Yeah.
So he's got at least 5, arguably 10 more years to win majors. Could he win 4 more? He's talking about the pressure's off now. Maybe it's easier to win. If he gets to 10, PK, right now there's only 3 guys who've gotten to double figures, and one of them was Walter Hagen. That was 100 years ago. I don't even think most of us could pick Walter Hagen out in a photo. You know, I see him on a list, but he played before the Masters.
I could put Cody Hagen out in a photo.
Ben Hogan and Gary Player at 9. They're reachable. Go get those guys.
See, I don't buy that it's easier now. I don't think it ever gets easier.
It didn't look like it was easy for him on the back 9 yesterday, did
it? Because you're not thinking of the past. The only thing you're aware of is the moment. And you're trying to achieve something. And plus you got, in a case of these other situations yesterday, we had 5 guys who were chasing them that were all right there.
Yep.
You know, obviously Young and Rose and Scheffler and a couple other guys that were around.
10 under or better.
Yeah.
Right.
And so that's what makes it so intriguing and so gripping to do what they do. And it's hard, which is why we see it in the emotions. I mean, I didn't think maybe slightly less emotional than the first one, but still right there, man. You can see how much it means. And if I'm going to be spending my time, which I literally did hours yesterday afternoon, I want it to have it matter, really matter. I'm not asking for them to suffer when they lose. I'm just asking them to go crazy in a sense. Show me how much it means to you. And we see that.
I thought it was definitely less emotional. I still thought it was emotional.
Yeah,
because
not much, but a little bit.
From last
There's only
year.
one first time.
Right, exactly. And he had the career slam. But having said that, when he hit the off the tee on 18, he's in the trees almost into the 10th fairway, right? They did a great shot. They showed, you don't always know in relation to one hole to another and all that. But they showed it. And when you're like, wow. If he hits a good shot here, he's still going to make bogey. But what if he hits the tree? And I'm thinking, in that moment, I'm thinking, oh, come on, how often does that happen? Then I immediately thought of Jean Van de Velde, and then I thought of Phil Mickelson, who in his own press conference, how could I be so stupid, right? Because he made one bad swing and then made another bad decision and another bad swing. So I'm like, well, I have seen it. I guess he could. Now, he put it in the trap, and he got out of the trap and, took care of business from there. But I got to admit, I did for a moment think, geez, we're not going to have another Mickelson press conference here, are we?
No.
And the funny thing about Phil is he doesn't have the career slam, but he is. If you look at the players that we've all watched in this century, 4 guys with the 6 majors, right? With Tiger's done it, Rory's done it, Phil's done it. Well, I guess you got to go back to get the 4th guy. Faldo was doing it a little earlier, so not this century. So 3 guys in this century and a 4th just prior to that. So we've gotten to see a lot of these guys work their magic.
Yeah, and for me, that's fun. I want to see history now. I don't want to just read about it.
Right, exactly. Yeah, you want to see it play out in front. The other time I thought about Tiger and wishing that ball in, I saw a clip of Tiger chipping in. They replay it periodically, and I thought that ball held on the lip longer. I guess time really did slow down because you're right. I did think it was on the lip forever, but it was a brief pause, and then it went in. It was super dramatic. And then yesterday, it was from a different spot, but it was a similar deal, and playing the break and the ball trickling toward the hole, and you really had to visualize it in your mind, and he got it so close. I mean, a lot of us would just knock it off the green, right? From one side of the green all the way off on the other. It was so close, but Roy couldn't make it go in the way Tiger could will it in. I mean, he left it like, I don't know what it was, 4, 6, 8 inches away. It was inside a foot, it looked like. It was a tap-in par. It was a great shot.
Well, yeah.
But I don't think I can ever watch anything at 16 again without seeing Tiger and what he did there. That was crazy.
But I want to see it again.
And that was close.
If
he had to have it,
has the opportunity to arise. I mean, go out through all the sports, man, and to see greatness. And you only have it for a short time. You have it maybe a little bit longer in golf, but, LeBron's going to be gone. And so, well, he's been in there for 21 years. But still, relatively, that's a short time, man.
Yeah, LeBron and Tom Brady are 2 guys who did kind of get the golf-type longevity in the sports where you don't normally get it. I mean, there's a few other examples in basketball. There's really not much in football. It's the sheer violence of the game precludes that.
And now one's over and one's about to be over.
Right. Yep. All right, DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Will Hardy meeting with the media, his season-ending thoughts. We will tell you about those next. Stay with us right here on The Zone.
I'm here on the job site with Dale, who's a framing contractor.
Hey, good morning.
Dale traded up to Geico Commercial Auto Insurance for all his business vehicles. We're here where he needs us most.
Yep, they sure are.
We make it easy for him to save on all his insurance needs, all in one place, with coverage that fits his business and bottom line. Oh, I shouldn't have looked down.
It's all right.
We're so far up here.
Look at me. Take a deep breath.
No, I'm good. So good.
Get a commercial auto insurance quote today at geico.com and see how much you could save. It feels good to Geico.
Join Scotty G Wednesday from noon to 3 at the Bar WB pop-up event at the Cal Ranch Store, 950 North Main Street in Spanish Fork. DJ and PK, the Jazz are all done 22-60 after one last loss to the Lakers. Oscar Schwebe, 29 points, 17 rebounds. Oh, my gosh, the Jazz found the next Dwight Howard, PK. Unreal. Fantastic. 29-17. We're done with that. Now we move on. The attention turns to getting better. Will Hardy listed a lot of ways to get better, took a lot of questions about that. But, man, when the question came up of playoff expectations for next year, he wanted no part of that, which I got to say, I guess I can cut him a little slack. He's probably tired after flying back into town. It's the morning after the season ended, and a lot of stuff will happen between now and then. So if he says something now, then it gets etched in stone. I get that. But nonetheless, that's the expectation. I guess there'll be a time to address that later, even though we all know where it's going.
Yeah, plus I understand he got in the C group, so he was last off, so that even took longer.
The C group.
I'm surprised it was so early at 8 o'clock after a game on the West Coast. But there's too many variables to start predicting. I think that, I would have said if it were me, I want to be as good as we can be. What that is remains to be seen. And I think we'll have a better idea as we get into the summer and September and October. And it's like when we had Media Day those years ago, and Quinn Snyder says to me at the end of the Media Day, I'm still wondering why I was there at like 6 o'clock in the evening. I don't know. I must have been subbing for somebody or something. Oh, yeah, it was Monday, so I probably was. But with that in mind.
Nice.
It was that
I got to the gate and the door was closed.
That
How
it
far
was
is it to the other side of the island.
Way worse than me. And he looks at me, and we were just alone in the gym. He says, "Man, either way, we're going to be a story." And he knew.
Yep.
He knew. And he was willing to say. And I don't know what he said on in public, but he certainly said that to me, and he was spot on. And they actually fulfilled what they were capable of doing. I think that was the year they won a first-round playoff series, right? So they took a huge jump. The thing about it is, I'm a little reluctant to go for that huge jump. I want it bad. There's no doubt about it. But the year before, post All-Star break, they really turned it on. Well, this team, this group, has done nothing together. Yep. They weren't even together. 2 games.
Yep.
That's it. So they had a little building block in place that we felt pretty good about saying, okay, they're ready, plus with the additions, right? Now, maybe they don't need that. Well, who's to say? But, excuse me, the prior group had a little bit of history and a foundation that we were more comfortable of saying that. This group remains to be seen.
I think the thing about that group is they had the big early season. I think there were multiple early season injuries. I think one was to Gobert, which was a pretty big one. And so they were a very different team the first half of the season versus the second half of the season. And once they had their guys in the second half of the season, we saw it. It was undeniable. And also, when you were told that wasn't the morning after the last game, you know.
Right.
Maybe will say something like that at a press conference after the draft.
I think he will, yeah.
After a signing or thing, or maybe at a preseason availability next year. You know, the timing, the emotion will be different. You'll know what your roster looks like. You know what other people's rosters look like.
Right.
Between now and then, somebody in the West will decide to tear their roster apart because somebody always decides to. You know, now will that be one team or will that be 3?
Well, we already saw Memphis do it this year.
Right, Memphis, exactly. So we can already pencil Memphis in for, okay, bottom of the group, right? Now, Sacramento had a ton of injuries. Because of their history, I don't know anybody's going to predict they make a big jump. But if they were to make a big jump, people will look back and say, well, they didn't have the guys last year. You know, they literally didn't. I read one of the stories. They're bringing Christie back to start next season. They say they're bringing him back for next season. I'm reluctant. It's the Kings. Are you really? Are we sure that 30 or 50 games in, you're not going to pull the trigger on him? But the thing in the story was their projected starting lineup never played a game together.
Yeah.
They had injuries all year long.
Right.
So maybe a team like that makes a big jump. All that has to be figured out. But the point is, it's what Steve Cleveland just told us in the last hour. He said clearly they could have won another 10 games. Maybe they could have won another 15, right? So is this really a 30 to 35 win? You know, 40 might take a little more imagination to see this group getting to 40, so maybe we shouldn't say that. Maybe they could have, but it's a little hard to guarantee that. But certainly it's not a reach to say this is a 30-win team. So next year, if people are saying, oh, it's incredible, they made some 30-game jump. Oh, did they really? They sandbagged at least 10 wins away.
Yeah, but I still think that it has to gel.
It does.
And that's what's going to be so intriguing to be able to watch, to see how it gels.
Yes.
Who does what.
I think that needs to be underlined. That needs exclamation points on it. You need to shout that out. Like, guys got playing time and guys got shots this year. Well, there's only so many minutes and there's only so many shots. Now, Stockton and Malone aren't walking through that door. Nobody's playing 82 next year. And we've talked quite a bit about Markkanen doesn't play 70 games. He doesn't. So is he going to miss 15? Is he going to miss 20? Is he going to miss 25? TBD. But the fact is, Jackson's only played 70 games twice in 8 years. And Walker Kessler's only played it once in 4 years. Now, maybe Walker could have played more. There's been some sandbagging going on and some tanking here. So maybe he could have had a second or third year where he played 70 games. But how many games? I mean, I think there are a lot of people, me included, who are excited to see how good they can be defensively and how good they can be rebounding with all this size all over the floor. 3 7-footers and Ace Bailey, and what if they get lucky and get DeBonsa, who would bring even more? I mean, he's not that big in the league, but for his position, he would be. So more positional size. Gosh, this could be, well, first off, you don't know if you're getting to Bonsa. Plus, how many games are these guys going to play next year? Any one of them, 50, 60, 70?
Yeah, I think we're going to see Markkanen play a career high.
You what?
I think we're going to see Markkanen play a career high.
He breaks 70? He has his 70-game year?
Yeah, I think that everybody understands what's at stake here. And we're not going to see these guys smiling on the bench like we have these last several weeks. It's been a joke.
Will be different.
It's been, these nondescript players getting triple doubles. As I said earlier, that just made it even a bigger joke.
It did.
And I'm tired of jokes.
The Jazz went years without a triple double, and suddenly that two guys who at the start of the year nobody could have named.
Right.
And they're coming off the bench to get triple doubles in the same game.
It's a joke. It's a joke.
That goes back to Locke's point about you can look at all the numbers you want, but how much of what happened this year was really real, and how much pressure is going to be next year that's going to change everything.
Yeah, I mean, and he, as I said, Will Hardy wasn't going to be mentioning those guys, and he didn't. And the questions were good questions about what do you want as expectations. That was a legitimate question. And then what do you expect out of these youngsters? And he went right to George and Bailey.
Yep.
And it's going to be a wonderful life. George Bailey. Absolutely, man.
Why haven't more people picked up on that? You're out on the cutting edge again.
Well, because they hadn't won yet. When they start winning, then they'll get more attention, and all the acclaim comes through winning. It doesn't come through stats. You can have stats, but if you don't have winning, nobody cares about the stats. When you win, then you'll be drawing attention, right? San Antonio got a bunch of attention this year, and Wembanyama has got a bunch of attention. The focus is, and we're hearing a lot more about him because they got through his developmental with the team, and now they're winning, and now they're a threat. We'll see how it shakes out coming up here in the next several weeks. And I think I don't know if the Jazz will be in that position next year. It's probably maybe a little bit too much to ask, but they can look at, we've compared them to what Phoenix did this year. What did Phoenix do? Are they 7th? I think they're playing 8. They're playing Portland, which is 8, right?
Yes.
And so, yeah, that's a good baseline right there. That's a fair evaluation. It might even be more, may even be higher, depending on the moves that are available to be made over the offseason, right? But I have got no problem saying, well, look at Phoenix. And, they may change these, and they're looking like they're going to change these tank rules, but there's going to be loopholes, and maybe we don't have as many teams tanking, so there won't be as many easier wins, but there's still going to be crappy teams, and the Jazz aren't going to be one of them. They're going to be a competitive team, and they can pile up some wins that puts themselves in the position of maybe what the Mammoth did. The Mammoth, again, they're another team that we compared to the Jazz when Quinn Snyder took them to the playoffs. Well, they had a little bit of a foundation. That's the only thing that is a little bit of more of a mystery to me, is this group has no foundation to build. They've got individuals that they can build off of, but they have nothing together, right? Especially with Jaren Jackson only playing 2 games. Well, that's nothing. And so I'm not really sure how all the pieces of the puzzle are going to fit. That's what Will Hardy now is we're going to find out how good of a coach he is. We're told he's really good. Well, now we get to see, because you can't tell me he's really good and then in the next breath tell me, well, there was no consequences for the players. Because if there's no consequences to the players, then what consequence was there for the coach? And then I think they got to either there was consequences for the coach and the players, and if there's not that much consequence for the players, there probably isn't that much consequence for the coach. And I know we're not supposed to say that. We're supposed to build this guy up. And I have no reason to doubt that he's not good. But how is he going to be coaching and the moves that he makes? Because there's not going to be everybody who's going to – Keontae George may not have the same amount of FGAs that he had this year versus next year. And Jaren Jackson's coming in here, and we saw it just in the 2 games. He wasn't looking to defer. Well, how's that going to be? How's it going to work with Markkanen? Markkanen's sitting over there. My vision of Markkanen is he plays a little bit and he plays well, but it's sort of over there with the clothes on, the street clothes, smiling on the bench. That's sort of what I think of him. It's both. I can't get either that he's a really good player, but I also can't get my impression of him of sitting in street clothes on the bench, because I've seen that a lot. And I don't want to see that much more anymore. Now, how all that stuff is going to come together, it's going to be fascinating to develop.
I know there's a lot of parallels between, you can look at the Thunder and the Spurs because they've gone through similar rebuilds and young guys. But the Angels, they were in Boston. And so I keep looking at Boston. Like, what did they do there? And the thing that I can't possibly identify that I know they need, and I'm sure Austin and Danny know they need it too, but the guy in Boston who is a winner, who doesn't get the pub and doesn't get the stats, Derek White makes winning plays. He plays a lot of games. He does everything pretty well. There's nothing about him that makes him a celebrity. He's just a really good basketball player. And the number of times that I watch a Celtic playoff game and that guy either hits a big shot, grabs a big rebound, gets a big steal, whatever it is, has a big assist, it's massive. It's incredible how often he makes the right play, a big play in a big moment in the game when the pressure's on. He's done it a lot. You can't possibly identify. You can't win without guys like that. To your point about the numbers, lots of people score a lot of points. But, man, you got to make the winning play at the right time, whatever that play is. And who's that guy? I mean, how far did the Jazz go? They got to find that guy. Now, maybe that guy's not on the roster. Maybe that's an off-season acquisition. Maybe it's a young guy who grows into that role and hasn't played pressure games, so how can you really tell? That's a big piece of the puzzle that has to be identified out there because they call them glue guys or whatever, but everybody has them. All the great teams have guys like that. They don't have the best stats, but they make winning plays.
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
Find your Derek White. Find your Ron Harper when the Jazz are losing to the Bulls. Yeah, Jordan, yeah, Pippen, but, man, Ron Harper. Good grief, that guy. Yeah, those guys are always out there.
Good grief.
Good grief.
Yeah. Yeah. Fiddlesticks.
A couple other things. So that I didn't say.
That was my grandma's
every once in a while I wind up and you're like,
word right
DJ's going to put something out on the air.
Yeah. Just doggone it, I love you.
Gosh darn.
Gosh darn it. All right, DJ and PK. When we come back, everything you missed in this show, we get you up to date on all the headlines, all the news next. Stay with us right here on The Zone.
Just a bunch of guys sitting around and talking sports. This is Scotty G and Friends.
Logan Cooley, 2 years ago, is about the time things really started to break that this organization was going to move from Phoenix to Salt Lake City. And now 2 years later, you're in the playoffs. Just what does that feeling feel like for you as a player, knowing that you're going to be playing postseason hockey?
It's awesome. I mean, I think as a little kid, you dream about eventually one day winning the Stanley Cup, and just the experience we're going to gain from being in the playoffs. You know, there's some guys on our team. I'm one of them that haven't even experienced playoff hockey. And, you know, you watch on TV, just the excitement in the buildings, how intense the hockey is. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be unbelievable. And I'm sure the fans are going to have the Delta Center rocking. And we can't honestly wait to, get started once playoffs start. It's going to be the most fun hockey that, I think I'm going to be a part of.
Catch Scotty G and Friends weekdays from noon to 3 on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
I'm here on a job site with Tim, who owns his own electrical contracting business.
3 employees and 2 work trucks.
Tim traded up to Geico Commercial Auto Insurance. We're positively here where he needs us most.
They sure are.
With step-by-step help on all his insurance needs, all for shockingly low rates.
Shockingly low, huh?
Just a little bit of electrician humour. Do you get it?
I got it.
It feels like we have a real connection. All right, I'll stop.
Get a commercial auto insurance quote today at geico.com and see how much you could save. It feels good to Geico.
DJ and PK, it's time to get you up to date on everything you missed. If you're joining the show late, the Slacker Radio headlines brought to you by Trajan Wealth. Call Trajan Wealth today. Your local, trusted financial fiduciary. Call them at 801-210-6800 or visit their website at TrajanWealth.com. PK, the Utah Mammoth, in my mind, look like they are clearly in the second tier of teams in the Western Conference. You got 3 teams over 100 points, and then you got a group of 4 teams that are sitting on 90 or 91. The Mammoth are on 90 right now, along with Las Vegas, Edmonton, and Anaheim. And when you're in that second tier, I guess there's just a little more up and down than you would prefer. And the down this weekend, back-to-back 4-1 losses, a lot of complaints about the way they played, not sharp enough, loose with the puck, bad giveaways, all the kind of stuff that's going to get them beat in the playoffs if they don't clean it up.
Yeah, I wonder if there was just a little bit of a hangover. Oh, we accomplished the goal, and maybe need to refocus. Because once they were playing well at the time, they clinched, they got in. That X, as Bill Armstrong was talking about, was there. And so maybe a little bit of a letdown. But now you got to regroup. I mean, Hornacek used to talk about, he always felt, I remember sitting in a locker after a game at the end of the season once, and he was always so very accommodating, as we all knew. And he was saying, man, the last 10 games for playoff teams are really important because that's when you need to build momentum and get everybody in the right frame of mind going forward here. And so here it'll be interesting to see what they do now going forward as far as them having this opportunity to get in the postseason is great, but you don't want to get waxed and have that be the lasting memory of the postseason. Even if you lose, you want to be able to compete well.
Well, I think we all assume they're going to lose somewhere along the way.
Yeah,
so there's that. If they mess this up and are wild card number 2, they play the team with the best record in the league, 115 points in Colorado. Now, crazy things happen in the NHL playoffs. Boston set a record and went out in the first round, so there's no locks.
Right.
But if they just play well in these last couple of games, they ought to be the first wild card, in which case they go on the same side of the bracket with Vegas, Edmonton, and Anaheim.
Well, that doesn't guarantee anything either.
It doesn't. Those 4 teams, that ought to be a slugfest. They all look pretty evenly matched. Anybody could go out right away. Anybody could end up in the conference final.
Yeah.
It ought to be total chaos.
Just worry about yourself and get yourself in the right frame of mind and play well.
I think that your theory on there's a psychologically there's just going to be a little bit of a letdown, right? The one level of pressure is off because you've checked one of the boxes on the list of goals, and it was a big one. Get the X, qualify for the playoffs. So if they had a little letdown, well, how do they bounce back against Winnipeg? Not a great team, 8 points behind them in the standings, winnable game. Go get it Tuesday night.
Yeah.
And depending on how things go, because the Kings play tonight and play again tomorrow. They're on the road in Seattle and Vancouver. It could be clinched by tomorrow night. If Utah wins and the Kings lose one of those two, then could be all done. All right, another big story over the weekend was Rory McIlroy putting on the green jacket again. 2 Masters back-to-back. I guess we know our Mount Rushmore of the Masters now. It's the 4 guys who won it back-to-back. There you go.
I never thought of that.
It's always the Mount Rushmore. I guess the only way to mess it up is Bobby Jones is the founder. Does he have to be on the Mount Rushmore? Because there'd be no Masters without him. And obviously he's a legend with a Grand Slam and all that. It's 100 years ago, but he still did it.
Well, I think that we'd have to put God on there then because there'd be no Masters without him either.
See, that immediately takes Mount Rushmore down to 2. Well, then it's Jack and Tiger. Sorry, Nick. Sorry, Rory. It's Jack and Tiger. At any point, did you think Rory was going to lose that?
Yes.
When?
Well, when he was down by 2.
Okay, you got me there. On the front nine. At any point, because the tournament starts on the back nine on Sunday. At any point then?
And that's nonsense. The tournament starts Thursday.
I know it does.
On the first tee.
And Scheffler pointed out his 74 Friday when everybody else was going low and the conditions were good and he didn't. That's where it got away.
And that's always been my approach to golf. When they go low, I go high.
You go high?
When they zig, PK zags.
I think that was a specific political reference PK was making there, but
I think everybody goes low, but that's just me on all sides. I don't know that I thought he was going to lose, but I wasn't sure. It wasn't like, oh, this is a slam dunk, he's going to win. But when he got back to even, and I'm sitting there watching it with my wife, and then the announcers even said it looked like he got his he got his mojo back. He started to, stride a little more confidently.
He does. Yeah. And boy, with him, the way he walks is really telltale. And it's not that other people maybe don't, but his swagger is obvious when he's got it. When he's confident and he's attacking a golf course, he's got to walk. He's good and he knows it. And he's dialed in and he knows it.
I think at that point he's got a little bit of Tiger. You got to put it in perspective, though, in terms of, hey, I know I'm better than you.
Mm-hmm.
I think it might have been a little bit different if Scheffler was there neck and neck.
Yes. The fact that Scheffler was coming from so far off the
he was
pace
lurking.
In horse racing parlance there. Seemed like he was a furlong back. That was a long way to go.
Right. If he would have been like in one group or in the same group, and so they're playing the same amount of holes and all that stuff, might have been different, but it wasn't. And that's not to take anything away from McIlroy because he's a superstar in the game. Scheffler, I thought under the circumstances, he's got Remy to go home to. Now he's got Bennett and Remy and Meredith. What more do you want? Is a freaking Masters jacket going to really enhance your life that much more? No. You've got Meredith, you've got Bennett, and you've got Remy. I like Jim Nantz. 16 days ago, he became a second. He always tries to make it so dramatic. That time when Tiger won, he tried to get Tiger to cry so much in the house there when they do the interview. It's like, and I know he walks on water, but man, can we tone down the dramatics and just let it happen naturally?
No. Ask again. Ask me one more time.
Let them take care of it themselves. I don't need that for you to try to fabricate it.
You were talking earlier about Rory at 6 majors now. He's in his mid-30s. He's got at least 5, maybe 10 years of championship-level golf. 7, 8, 9, 10 majors. Where does it go? Scheffler's already sitting on 4. 5, 6, 7, 8. Where do you think he goes?
Well, that was what I talked to Nick Faldo about on that interview. That was my first question, and I took him by surprise. And he didn't know where I was going with the interview. Right. But, he wasn't really sure and wasn't really ready to make that commitment either. And obviously he knows a million times about it more than I would ever know. And so, but, the ball striking is there. You wonder about the burning desire, because to have that, so much has to be sacrificed in life. And you just wonder, how much is he willing to sacrifice? I listened to, I guess in today's world, we'd call it a podcast with Johnny Miller. And he talked about that, and his children were starting to get older. As he was older, looking back, and so it was a retrospective, and he talked about how he was willing to make sacrifices in his game for his family. And if I know your kids, that means they're out in the front and you're talking about them. And I do have. My wife went and got a baby gift, and it's in the mail for little Remy. And he should be getting it here shortly. So I know who Remy is. And I've literally known Remy all of his life. Now, it's only 17 days, granted. But Bennett, too. Bennett's got a good thing going on. And so what does Scotty want to sacrifice? We see it all the time with LPGA players, the ones who want to have families. Ochoa could have been a superstar on the LPGA, and she got to the top, and she wanted to be married. And now you never hear from her. You literally never hear about Elena Ochoa, and yet she, for a while there, was looking like she was going to be the next Sorenstam. Well, priorities change, right? So we'll have to see.
It's easier to track on the LPGA because they literally go away.
Yeah.
But there was a quote. Now, he doesn't go away, so it doesn't hit the same way. But there was a quote from Jordan Spieth about being a husband, being dad, I'm paraphrasing, but dad to this, your dad to that, your husband. And he's like, and part-time I play golf. And it's like, well, now if we wonder why Jordan Spieth isn't winning the way he did, when he was single and didn't have kids, and, well, there you go.
Well, we've certainly heard that about Tony.
Yes, Tony Finau, that'd be another one. And Jack Nicklaus said it about Tiger. When Tiger was just flying out of the gates in the early 2000s, he goes, that's good now, but at some point he's going to go home, and it's not going to be enough, and then he's going to play less, and he had injuries catch up, and obviously he's had other issues as well. But it's like Jack was just waiting. It's like maybe you can be hyper-focused at 22, 23, 24 in a way you're just not going to be later in life. And that might explain why so many of these guys have burst out of the gates and we think they're going to dominate. And they're in that phase that Tiger was dominating when Jack said, yeah, but times will change. Your mindset will change.
Why do I not know Jordan Spieth's kids, but yet I know Remy and Menin?
Yeah, I don't know.
Honestly,
I wouldn't know all these other kids. I mean, I see them, but I don't bother to learn their names. Like, I've already forgotten Phil's kids' names, but I'm sure you remember them. But they were running out of the green when Phil was winning.
Sophie? I don't remember his kids' names.
Well, for a while there, you had them down.
I did.
You throw them out left and right.
Yeah. And we saw a little Poppy, and it should have been reverse. I mean, it will be when Rory is in his 80s, and it will be at that point he looked at Poppy and said, come to Poppy, and in 50 years from now, she'll look at him and say, come to Poppy. So, the circle of life there.
Sing it. All right, DJ and PK, the other big story of the weekend, the Utah Jazz put a wrap on the season. Will Hardy spoke to the media at 8 o'clock. We carried it live. Hopefully you heard that. Yock's posting it. We'll have it out on social media, on our website, KSLSports.com. It'll be up on YouTube. You can watch and listen to the whole thing. I thought he hit on several interesting points. He said several things I wanted to hear him say. He talked about defending and rebounding, and they have got to be better. They've been 29 or 30 during this rebuild. And of course, they've been playing crazy lineups, so it's probably not really indicative of who they are. But he specifically talked about Ace Bailey and Keontae George, and you got to get better one-on-one defending. Period, end of story. And obviously, you want to be playing multiple seven-footers behind them to clean things up when they inevitably do get beat at times. But nonetheless, he went right to that and off-season player development as well, PK.
It's a huge off-season for so many of these guys. Ace Bailey is the latest. The other guys have been professionals for 2 or 3 off-seasons. So now it's a huge one. It's a huge one for Kessler, everybody. And I get healthy, find a way to make sure these little nagging things don't get in the way.
Yeah, okay, but how much of that, and Steve Cleveland brought this up, his interview's right after, you can listen to it as well. You got to get them healthy first before they improve. But, like, are they really not that healthy? I mean, I have no doubt Keontae George rolled his ankle. We could see it in the game. We could see him hobbling up. We've seen it a million times. If you played enough, you've probably done it yourself a time or two. But it's about the time where he had to be healthy right about now. And hamstrings are a great way to hide injuries. I'm just not sure they're as beat up as the injury list would suggest if you took it at face value.
I don't know. Did you see Nurkic's nose? That thing looked hurt.
That was also brought up. Would Nurkic be back with the team? Would Love be back with the team? And we can ask Pablo Mastroeni about this when he comes on Friday. He said once, there's no place for sentimentality. And he's let veteran players go that he really liked, but as soon as you start getting sentimental, you're just going to get beat.
I don't think you bring Nurkic back for any sentimentality. I mean, he's only been here one season.
Yeah, but he got into how much you're together, and there's the human-to-human relationship, and you like them, and you can't let that be a factor.
Who got into that?
Will did when he was talking.
Oh.
He talked about there's the coach-player relationship, there's also the human-to-human relationship.
Oh, but you can have human-human relationship. The two factors that you have to have in order to have a human-human relationship is one of you has to be a human and the other has to be a human. That's it.
Slow down. You're going too fast, PK. I'm taking notes here.
So player XYZ, you can have that. It's not like it's unique. because he also had it with these other dudes who are going to be jettisoned. How did he not have it with Chandler Kennedy or Kennedy Chandler? Guy was lighting it up, and then they don't let him play the last
You just created a
game.
new one, Kennedy Candler.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
another
why it's so confusing, Yock. That's why I'm starting to get to know the guy. I was starting to have a relationship with
his name
Chandler
Kennedy Candler.
Kennedy Candler. Yeah, I was just starting to have a relationship with the guy, and boom, he's gone.
Welcome to the nature of a 10-day contract.
Kennedy Candler.
They couldn't let him stay for one more game?
No, his 10 days are up. Legitimately.
Well, then make it 11. What are they going to do, fine him again?
Sure.
How about Memphis not getting fined for that lineup they ran out against the Jazz on Friday?
90% of their salary cap was on the bench that night.
Awesome. Spectacular. All right, DJ and PK, your feedback next. Stay with us. DJ and PK, it is time for your feedback. What have you got to say about today's show? The question of the morning, Utah Jazz are all done. 22 wins, 60 losses. How glad are we that it's over? Nick, very glad. I think we've done a great job of putting ourselves in position to compete again. Can't wait to watch winning Jazz basketball again.
Agreed.
Pretty much on point right there.
Yeah.
U-State Iceman, we are very disgruntled because 22 wins is too high for this year. If you're going to tank, as in not win, you need to be a tank factor, not just try to build one tank.
A tank factory? Well, I don't know that that's going to get you what you want. It didn't get you what you wanted last year. They had the worst record last year.
And they slid back to fifth.
So,
although they may have ended up with a really good player, which is the goal.
That's the goal, yeah. And right, so even if you get the pick, do you get the right player?
Right. B-Dots, they'd be happier if they fired all the management and started over.
No.
Fire Danny Ainge, 5 exclamation points.
Not now.
Good grief. Isn't that exactly how you turn into Sacramento or Washington or I was going to say Charlotte, but Charlotte got good this year. But Charlotte for the decade prior to this season?
Yeah, the constant turnover just leads to ineptitude. And maybe you have ineptitude that leads to the conference or to the constant turnover, the chicken and the egg, but nevertheless, you can go down the list and the Phoenix, that they had like 3 years. They changed coaches after 1 year, and they just did it here again, didn't they? They did it back when they had who's the European guy who was on the staff here for the Jazz, and then went down there and coached 1 season, and they sucked, and then they tried it. And they tried it again here, where they were going with the recycled guy, Vogel, and then Budenholzer, and then they just get on with that, man. Get some stability and try to build something. Have a plan. Quit changing the plan every third day.
Because that works.
Yeah, I mean, Utah State, they didn't change plans. The situation came up, and they've been able to hit on it, and we'll see what they do going forward. But I think that's sort of the exception, and that's college anyway.
Igor Kokoskov is who you're trying to think of.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he told him he told them who to draft, and they ignored him. I really think you should draft this Luka Doncic guy. No.
Yeah, didn't he have a history with the
he did, yeah.
He was a kid at the time.
He's like, he's the guy. Nope, we're doing this. The team's terrible. Well, you should have drafted him. You should have listened to me. Nope, we'd rather fire you.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and I can tell you that happened with Hornacek in New York. I literally can tell you that. Draft Donovan Mitchell.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Hornacek to Earl Watson to Jay Trano to Igor Kokoskov to Monty Williams. How you go through 5 coaches in 5 years. And go.
And that was then, and then they just did it recently again. Different ownership, but still they did it again.
After Monty Williams had his run, then Frank Vogel got a year, Mike Budenholzer got a year. Now Jordan Ott has had a year, and presumably we'll get another one.
Oh, he will, yeah. Unless something crazy would happen, but yeah, absolutely.
45 wins, and they're headed to the playoffs.
Yeah, suddenly there's a light where there wasn't before.
Trailblazers and Suns, 8 o'clock tomorrow night. We will have our play-in game start. The winner of that game will be 7th and get San Antonio in the opening round. That follows Heat and Hornets, which is a 9th place, 10th place game. So the loser will be eliminated there. All right, DJ and PK, we got a little more feedback here. We got people weighing in on Rory McIlroy, back-to-back Masters. How impressive is that? And most people are fairly impressed, although you brought up, and I think you're right about this, on the list of his career accomplishments, he's got at least 2 that are better than that. And winning back-to-back Masters is pretty impressive.
Winning Masters is pretty impressive.
All right. Yeah.
And, since it's only been done 3 other times, largely by household names, too, that adds to it. And if you're talking about tradition and that goes into sports, which matters, the Masters tradition can rank with any other tradition in sports. I'm not talking about singing Sweet Caroline in the 7th inning. I'm talking about a little bit more substance than that. And playing this tournament every year, same place, blah, 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 and then only having 3 other guys, and they're all prominent names, that catches your eye right there.
It is the magic of seeing the same course and the same holes over and over. And I feel that way about other PGA Tour stops, but I don't feel that way about the majors, because the 3 majors move around so much.
Yeah, and that's fine that they do.
I mean, at Riviera, that shot looking up 18 towards the clubhouse, I've seen that so many times in my life. I've never been there, and I feel like I have. I know it.
Yes, yeah, and I've been there, and it portrays the way it looks. And the same thing with number 1, it's a downhiller.
Yeah, and Pebble Beach has got that par 3 on the front 9 that sticks out into the water that they're always showing shots of. At 18, the way it curves along the coastline. And it seems like every year somebody's scrambling down there to see, I might be able to knock this back up on the fairway.
Oh, yeah. This year, Morikawa I think he went and got lunch waiting for those guys to get out of there.
Yeah. So there's you get that with these iconic courses, and it's just when they were playing number 12 yesterday, I was thinking that, like, how many times have you seen guys here, And it's just a short par 3. What could go wrong? But we all know the green, right? Mm-hmm. Super wide left to right, very little depth, a little gust of wind. You're short, you're over the back, whatever it is. Pretty tricky. All right, DJ and PK, that'll do it for us today. A little Masters, a little end-of-season jazz. The Utah Mammoth are back at it tomorrow night. They've only got 2 games left in their season. You actually heard Ben. He was at the press conference this morning at 8 o'clock talking with Will Hardy. He and Jake will be talking about it next. The Jazz put a ramp on the season. Stay tuned. Jake and Ben with more on that next right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.